So what is your take on this resurgence or return to Catholicism?
Gen Z is like one of the least Christian generations. I don't see anything contradicting the claim that for every one person who becomes Catholic, 8 leave. Man, social media is just an inhuman thing. This world rewards vice. Pride, lust, envy, greed, wrath, sloth.
So true?
Everything that gets multiplied on the internet appeals to one of those deadly sins. In the so-called Manosphere, there are things they'll say that are true, like for men, if you want to attract women, there's things you should do, things you shouldn't do. This idea like, oh, I'm just better off without women. And then they go forward 20 years and can't go back. Some people get all nervous in our Catholic circles, like, well, I don't know, am I called to marriage? Like, yeah, you are.
Do you think there are things that you're seeing kind of rear their head within the church itself?
When I will put forward content that will say, oh, they got X right, or we got X wrong, it's like, hey, wait a minute, you're going against the team on this. Why are you counter-signaling us? You mean saying something you disagree with?
Trent, one of I remember the funniest way I ever introduced you, at least to me, is I went, Trentius Hornius, and you went, nope.
Nope.
That's how
we're gonna pave right over that.
Start that again.
We're gonna hear the speed bump. We're gonna ask what was that we hit. We're not even gonna look back. We're gonna keep driving.
That reminds me of that Office episode. One day Michael came in complaining about a speed bump in the highway. I wonder who he hit with his car then.
I wonder.
Thank you for being on my show.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is a lovely set, by the way. So
thank you. It's amazing. I did nothing at all. I just told him I wanted to kind of look like a hunting lodge meets cigar lounge meets nook in a library or Irish pub.
So your set design crew is just kind of like a living chat GPT, and you're like, what would it look like if we did this? And it's like,
yeah. Well, it's actually a lovely woman. Because I met her in one of the meetings we had here at Daily Wire to talk about the set, and I walked in and she was so classy looking. She had like leopard skin glasses on, and I looked at her and I thought, whatever you want, I'll do. I show my belly.
Well, so that you just have to defer to the experts sometimes.
100%.
Especially if it's something totally outside of your wheelhouse. It's kind of interesting in writing my books for Catholic Answers. At the very beginning, like my first and second book, I would be really nitpicky about all of the edits. Like, are you changing this? Are you changing that? But now I think I'm on like book 12 or 13. I'm like, select all. It's probably fine. I'm sure you guys know what you're doing by now.
That's funny you say that, because I'm not a good writer, so I actually beg them to like edit the stuff out of it, and then I'll accept it all. But I would presume you're actually pretty good.
I'm trying.
You're good, but tired.
Well,
I give up.
There's been a lot going on with this recently, but when it comes to writing, it's interesting for Council of Trent. I've really enjoyed doing the shows, doing 2 episodes a week. What started as just an audio podcast, where that was back in the late 2010s when everybody just threw on a microphone. Here's what I think about this, and that's podcast. And then I thought, oh, what if I had a camera rolling while I did podcast? And then that turned into, well, I want to make content that really edifies people and is efficient. And that it makes a good use of your time. I want to be respectful of people's time.
Why do I feel like this is a low-key shot at Pints with Aquinas? You know we're about to go 3 hours. I've already called you Trentius Hornius. Why would you do this?
There's a difference between an organic chat that is really enjoyable and just rambling, especially if you're by yourself and you're just rambling and spinning off. Some people can do that well, but I really wanted to give people, so I started scripting it. Like, here's what I could take an hour to say, I can get it done in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Then scripting it. So now with the episodes, I did a word count of it, because I'll tell Laura like, it's I'm writing about 5,000 or 6,000 words a week. And she's like, that has no meaning to me. And most people, that has no meaning. So, it'd be like if you wrote a 25-page research paper every week and included all your citations as well. Because I also have to include editing instructions.
Yep.
I have to find clips to comment on, B-roll instructions for my editor. It is a lot of writing.
I don't know if this is too personal, so tell me to stop being creepy if it is, but how's Laura?
170. Oh, I thought you were going to ask how much my current weight class in.
Okay, no.
Personal.
How's Laura?
You know what? She is keeping on. Yeah. It is very, very hard. I worry sometimes in trying to give people optimistic hope. Maybe I don't. The problem is, like, I'm a melancholic and she's a sanguine. So, like, I'll just be like, oh, it's fine. And she, like, I can maybe understate and maybe she can overstate. So if we mix the two together, I would say I'm really grateful we found her brain tumor early. that we were able to intervene, found a surgeon willing to do that. But it is a hard recovery. It's one thing if it's a different part of your body. It's like, my foot hurts. But when it's your brain, because that's like around where you are, it's just like all consuming in here. So she's tired, lightheaded. I mean, once during her recovery, we thought she was having a stroke. We had to take her to the hospital, called an ambulance. Half her face didn't move. God. And it's like, was this going to be permanent? It's scary. So now it's just like, you're worried, like, what's going to happen? Is it going to come back? And you just have to trust in God.
Do you feel like you're in a constant state of needing to react at any point to something that happens, or have both of you sort of been able to calm down?
I think maybe I'm in that state, but I'm so dead inside I don't feel it anymore.
Yeah, whiskey helps.
One would think. I mean, I can't even get myself out of the house to go pick that up. No, it's so she is. She's doing really well, but it has been hard. So the prayers have been we've really appreciated that. But, this was the big cross for us to carry. We're grateful for everyone who's helped. And
how did it sort of, the conversation the two of you had when you announced it was so beautiful. And Laura is so disarmingly wise. She'll just be talking and making jokes and I'm laughing. And then all of a sudden she'll say something that's so profound. And she said, I won't be able to repeat it well, I don't think, but she said something to the effect of, now, once I realized I had this brain tumor, I realized, where was I? Why was I always going out? What did she say?
Well, it was interesting. We have noticed things negative since the operation, but also things positive.
Hang on. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yes, and that's related to that. The idea is you're always worried, like, like we'll yell at the kids, like, come on, we need to get going.
I see.
What are we doing? Come on. Like, you're always in a rush.
Yeah.
And you get easily flustered with them. But now after it, like, both of us, but especially for her, like, doesn't like rise up to that high level of like, it's a slower, like, why was I in such a rush where did I have to go? I'm here with my kids.
Yeah.
Life is going to continue. Just take it in one day at a time where God wants you to be, and just stay open and listen to him. And maybe he's going to take you down a really rough road. That's where we're at right now. It's kind of funny. I feel not bad, but I mean, for a while, I was just praying and feeling like I've been so blessed. Like I can't even, I feel bad we haven't had a major cross to carry. Now Laura's going to kill me that I was saying that in my prayers, but because I felt like so good. I've been blessed with children, blessed with an awesome wife. I've been able to reach people. And I just get super excited about telling people about Christ, about his church, and really being able to reach a lot of people and help them. I'm like, so many people would love to be able to do that. Although part of it is I do that. It also is like a big responsibility. Like I kind of wish I didn't have to, but
I kind of wish you didn't have to what?
The burden of evangelizing and wanting to help others. So like, for example, like I've been able to reach a lot of people and I want to counter these awful errors that are out there that are ensnaring people, sin, heresy, whatever it might be. So I spend a lot of time, like on the internet, seeing what is the buzz, what's going on, and social media. Also, I don't really post on social media, but I lurk there to see, like, put my finger on the pulse, see what's going on. And if you talk about things that are really popular and can provide a Christian point of view to it, then you can get your message out more. But man, social media is just an inhuman thing. The internet itself is just so overstimulating. I hate looking at a computer that much. It's like, if I could just live more of an analog apologist life of like writing a book on a typewriter and teaching, I'd love that. But I feel like I can't do that, at least right now. It's like in Philippians, Paul says in Philippians, he says, my desire is to depart and be with Christ, but for your sake, it is better that I'm here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I feel about like kind of where I'm at right now and doing Counsel of Trent. Like, this is the best place, even if it's hard and there's times I don't like it, it's just the best way to help people.
I think the reason for me that I spend so much time building up fences around the internet and social media is because I do find it so consuming. So when I came here to Nashville recently, we had the release of our first ever show, and I intentionally shifted my phone, making it a dumb phone. It's impossible to go on social media, impossible to go on the browser. Left my computer at home, so I was just... Because in a way, it's unnatural to not care about what people are saying about this beautiful thing you just put out into the world. You want people to know. And then you go in, you start reading comments, and some of them are great, beautiful. Most of them are beautiful. And then there's a couple that are unhinged.
That always stick with you. Well, Aquinas talks about that. He talks about the sin of vainglory. And he says that it is natural to want to esteem one's own works and to recognize that and see that in others esteeming you. And he cites Matthew 5:16, where Jesus says, let your light shine before men. So it's not like, oh, you have to keep everything a secret and never be praised. Like literally God wants us, when Christians do good works, that's one of the best ways we can evangelize. Because then people who are not Christian, and that's traditionally throughout church history, people have seen, oh, the Christians took in the poor, the orphans, the widows, look at everything they're doing, and you see God in that. And then people praise, these people are awesome, they're great. Yeah, but the devil is just great at taking good things and distorting them.
My point was simply that I had this strong desire to check it constantly.
Yeah, and you're like, well...
So I'm not sure if I would be like you. Like what it sounds like you're saying is if you could, you'd put it away and wouldn't give it a second thought. I think I would give it a third and a fourth thought. So that's why I need to set up those sort of boundaries that others might not need to. But I do find that when I do that, my head is a lot clearer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on the internet today talking about intrusive thoughts. Have you noticed this as a thing?
I've heard of that.
And I know people have always dealt with this, but I think a big part of this is this constant media consumption.
Yeah. You lose your focus when you're trying to attend to all of these different things. It's distracting. What I've tried to do, I've gotten a dumb phone app. It just makes, not a dumb phone app per se. I still have too many apps. It's helpful to have, but it makes it like a black screen, so it's less enticing to want to pick up. Also just like logging out of X, so I can't get it on my phone. And then I use a program called Cold Turkey.
Yeah, so I use that on the computer too.
Yeah, so I can just it's mostly X and other forms of social media. That's really the one where I think you get sucked in a lot.
Who are the people who like X?
People who like attention. People who constantly want dopamine hits. And
because I think a lot of reasonable people all are saying what we're saying. Like what we're saying is not a new idea.
No.
People are like, no, I gotta get off. Everyone I know who I like says that. And I'm wondering, does anybody on Twitter love being on Twitter?
I think as much as like an alcoholic loves beer. You know, they love it, but they know it's like killing them on the inside. But there's still a pleasure there that they want to seek after. So that's why I think just the more being able to I wouldn't call it hypocrisy. It's like I want to be offline, but I want to be online enough to be able to help people. That's why, like for my episodes, they're short. You know, they're just like they're 15 minutes. They give you the material. I'm not constantly doing stuff just to like keep people, wrangled in, so to speak. It's just, I even thought at one point I wanted to do like a promo. If I had enough money or resources, I want to do this, where if you promise to get off the internet, I'll send you a CD of my podcast every month to like listen to. Like that, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't have the resources to do something like that. But I mean, I'm doing a conference soon on online evangelism, because people are going to live there.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be there, you might as well share the faith well and just avoid the traps.
Yeah.
Usually the traps are just when you're there, it just makes you inhuman when responding to other people. So like a lot of times when I see someone has posted something and our first instinct is like, oh, I'm going to dunk on that person by reposting it with my snarky jab.
Totally. Which is why the quote tweet exists to begin with, is so we could dunk on people.
It's the repost, Matt.
Repost. Well, what do they call it?
It's not a tweet anymore.
Is it called a quote post? Or what do they call it?
It's a repost?
I don't know. We're not on Twitter. What do we know?
X.
No, I refuse to do it.
That is fine. Yeah. That's fine. Can someone rewind that DVD for me? Sounding like now. What I haven't done is privately message people. Now, every now and then, if I see something absolutely atrocious, I'll just say like a little thing and a comment under.
This is atrocious.
No, I'll just include something factual or just a quote that contradicts it and shows it's wrong, and then just like let it be. So it is a good play. It is still, there are so many people, and that's why, I've met people, been able to send my book to people to help them.
Yeah.
So it's a good place. It's just, you just have to really take it with a lot of great care.
Because there's no opinion you could put out into the world that at least someone won't congratulate you for. Like, I'd be horrified to know what people would be willing, we could just use this. We've seen what people have said about Charlie Kirk and his wife. Yeah. We've seen how disgusting the things have been that they've said. And when that initially happened, you would think, obviously no one's going to be like an absolute demon.
But there are literal demons out there.
And it wasn't the demons who were tweeting, as far as I could tell.
Right. But the point is they influence people to behave in sinful and even demonic ways. And especially if you operate behind an anonymous avatar, you are extremely tempted to do things you would never do in your normal life.
So we have tried a lot of coffee over the years in the Fradd household, but our sponsor, 7 Weeks Coffee, is the one my wife and I have chosen to land on. And now it's constantly stocked and brewed in our house. It's not just great coffee, it's a brand built around values that we take seriously. 7 Weeks Coffee is America's pro-life coffee company on a mission to fund the pro-life movement one cup of coffee at a time. Why are they called 7 Weeks Coffee? Because at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean, and it's the same time a heartbeat is clearly detected on an ultrasound. They've built their business around saving lives by donating 10% of every sale to pregnancy centers and pro-life organizations nationwide. They've now raised over $1.5 million and have saved thousands of lives. Now, let's talk about the coffee because you should care about what's fueling your body. And the good news there is that it's mold-free, pesticide-free, shade-grown, and low-acid, and it's organically farmed. It truly checks all the boxes. When I first heard about 7 Weeks Coffee, I thought, I want to support them, I want to get behind them, but the coffee needs to be excellent, and I'm happy to say that it truly is. So go to 7weekscoffee.com and save 15% forever when you subscribe. Plus, get a free gift with your order. And exclusively for my listeners, use code PINTS for an extra 10% off your first order. That's a 25% total savings on your first order, plus a free gift. Just use code PINTS at checkout. Let's talk about how the sin of rash judgment, slander, and detraction are grave sins.
Well, the Catechism says that everyone has the right to a good reputation. So you have the right to a good name. And when you look at the commandments, right? Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt honor thy father and mother, thou shalt not kill. Our moral obligations go beyond just like the strict definitions of the commandments, right? So, if you, that's why Jesus said, if you call your brother Raka or fool, you'll be liable to fires of hell. It says, thou shalt not kill. And people thought, oh, well, I didn't actually kill the guy. Yeah, but if you punch somebody in the face, you don't kill him, that's still sinful. But you can also hurt someone with words. If you spread lies about someone, that can hurt someone far more than just punching him in the face. At least punching somebody in the face, from one who's done Muay Thai kickboxing and know what that feels like. Eventually, that the heals and gets over. But you put things on the internet, they can be there forever.
Yeah.
So in many respects, when people engage in that, especially online, spreading things that are not true, it's like a lot of times can't be undone. Or spreading things people have no right to know about.
There you go.
Yeah. So there's a difference there. So calumny is spreading lies about somebody. Detraction is sharing something that's true that nobody else has a right to know about. So the L in calumny stands for lie. T in detraction are truths people should know about.
Yeah. Another thing I'm seeing is a lot of people online saying, hey, I don't hate anybody. And you go, yeah, all right, but like everyone can say I don't hate anybody. But if your behavior looks as if you're treating someone as intrinsically evil, do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's this.
How do we know when something crosses over to hatred?
Well, I would say don't use the word hate, use the word unloving. Because a lot of times when we think of hate, we think of malice, wrath,
that none of
foaming
us
at the mouth, wanting the worst for someone. The absolute worst for them. And so they're like, well, I'm not that. I don't hate people. Right. But there's a big spectrum between wanting the worst and wanting the best, or even just willing the good for someone. So maybe you don't hate them, but if you're willing something that is not good for them, like you're willing pain for them to feel embarrassed about something that they actually shouldn't have to feel embarrassed about. You may not hate them, but you're not showing love to them. You're being unloving. So I don't think the God who is love itself wants us as Christians or anyone, but especially Christians, to be unloving.
That's really good. Yeah, asking, do you hate that person? It's too high of a bar. But if I say to myself, am I being unloving? Well, okay.
Yeah, or it's a very low bar. It's a low bar to step over. Like, okay, great, you don't hate them.
Well done.
But are you showing love to them? Now, that doesn't mean that you can't preach the truth to someone or call someone out for something or present them with something that they will feel bad hearing. But that's why in Ephesians 4:15, Paul says we should speak the truth in love to others. And people really know that they know the difference. They know the difference. There's people I see online who can model that. And then there are others You know inside when you're relishing making someone else feel bad, when it's crossed over from justice to vengeance, when you're personally relishing in it.
How is this infecting modern apologetics today?
What I worry about with modern apologetics is, a lot of different things, like kind of a cult of personality and an aggressiveness that is uncalled for. I don't think you'll have to be mealy-mouthed. I don't think they should have to qualify every single thing that they say. But it is an idea that we're not going to destroy arguments, we're going to destroy people, and it should be the opposite of that. Like I've always said, you should destroy an argument, you should destroy an error, don't destroy a person. But it'll get conflated where manipulative, aggressive tactics will be used to destroy the person himself, making them feel embarrassed, small, owning a person. And it also creates this mentality of circling the wagons or tribalism. Mm-hmm. This idea that in apologetics where you stop really thinking critically about things, it becomes our side is always right and they're always wrong, when that may not be the case. So when I will put forward content that will say, oh, they got X right or we got X wrong, it's like, hey, wait a minute, you're going against the team on this. Why are you doing that? Why are you having this loser mentality? Why are you counter signaling us? That's what I hate. You mean saying something you disagree with? So it becomes a tribalist framework where it's just our team, which is usually a very narrow ideology, much narrower than the Christian faith. It's our particular proclivities. This is what needs to win, and we're going to defeat anyone who feels otherwise. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that. We should all be promoting the truth and speaking it in love.
Yeah. And what's tough, though, is the internet applauds and benefits those who do speak with that unnecessary aggression and who are snide and triumphalist.
The internet,
and in a way, it penalizes. And by the internet, the
online world.
Yeah, the online world. But if you're humble and gentle and honest, you'll get nowhere. So it's almost like to win the internet, it feels like sometimes you have to be a giant.
Well, in Paul's letter to the Corinthians, he calls Satan the god of this world. So this world rewards vice. The natural world does. Like, what are the things that are most popular on the internet? Explicit materials, angry things. Think about the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
Pride, lust, envy, greed, wrath, sloth.
So true.
Everything that gets multiplied on the internet, appeals to one of those deadly sins, one of those capital sins.
Spot on. I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah. So it's not just that it rewards anger. If it's any of the deadly sins, because Satan's the god of this world, we are human beings are fallen. The internet will lower people to that common denominator. Whereas things that call us to higher virtue, it's like, oh, that will just not be as popular. It's just the same way. There's no drive-through vegetable place. There's drive-through burger places, but there's no drive-through. There's a few salad and goes, but it's a lot harder to find something like that.
On the go.
Yeah, you get a turnip on the go. But some of those places, healthier places, what's interesting with healthy food, that has sprung up more when people realize, oh, the fast food, it makes me sick and I hate myself. So I do think there is there is a bit of, we're building here. Yep. There is a bit of a turn, and I'm seeing more of people who were once really angry critics of me be supportive and come into the fold a little bit more of what I'm trying to promote and others, because the other influencers who just want to stoke anger, envy, all of these other things, gossip, it's just not satisfying.
So you don't have to mention names if you don't want to, but can you tell us more about how people have reached out and said, I'm sorry?
It's just things I'll read in just comments. People will say, I used to listen to so-and-so, but they'll say it just got old after a while.
Yeah.
It just got old of always just complaining or griping or casting aspersions on others. And like I said, it is fine to call a spade a spade. I have done that. I have critiqued, Pearl or Destiny or other people, and have used blunt language to critique some of the awful things that
you're an insane person.
Well, when you say that bestiality isn't bad, and we've been arguing about it for 2 hours.
Oh no, dude, it was the best. I'm so glad you said it. But then maybe I shouldn't be glad that you said it.
And you know what really set me off in that moment? Actually, it was not even him defending bestiality. It was the counterpunch, because how the exchange led up to that. I was trying to show their sexual ethics don't work because it leads to an absurd conclusion. And I said, wouldn't you see this as wrong? And he said, well, we wouldn't see that because we're not religious. And I just was like, I was just sick of the backhanded slap to like, oh, a religious person is an ignorant, uncritical simpleton who follows arbitrary rules, and they're the dum-dums. Well, oh, we're not religious. I'm like, no, it's because you're not sane. You're being an insane person when you say, oh, there's no moral problem with sexual relations between human and animals. And the thing is, there are insane views that smart people defend. Because smart people are really good at rationalizing positions they got to for dumb reasons.
Yeah.
I borrow that. That's actually Michael Shermer, who's a skeptic. He's a pretty passionate atheist, wrote a book called Why People Believe Weird Things. And there's a chapter in it called Why Smart People Believe Weird Things.
I think that was Peter Kraft also, who said it takes you a PhD you need a PhD to believe something that's stupid.
Yeah. So that's why I worry also on the internet is that people will go on there and they'll say, well, look at, dude, this guy's so smart, man. He can just like say anything. And a lot of times they'll just say so much, people can't catch all the wrong things they say. He's just so smart. I'm like, there are a lot of people who have read a lot, but just because someone is smart, it doesn't follow that what they're saying is correct. So people will follow positions based on the confidence of and this is an age-old problem. You follow a position because the person proposing it just sounds very confident.
Of course.
And the reason for that is most of us, we do not have the time or resources to vet everything. You go back, 50,000 years ago, sorry if everyone's going to get mad at me about the age of the earth and stuff, but, when prehistoric man was just trying to survive, what did you do? Well, that guy's really confident and he seems to be doing all right. I'm going to go with him. And the people who did that ended up okay. And the guy who was like, couldn't make a decision, the woolly mammoth ate him. Well, the woolly mammoth wouldn't eat him, but he wouldn't get to eat the mammoth, or something that kind of stuff would happen. Yeah. So that's where I worry is that we have that tendency built into us just to gauge you. It's like when people watch a debate and like, that guy killed it. He was awesome. Like, oh, well, what argument was best?
I don't know, but he just seemed really confident.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, that's what you want to say. So that's why I really want to encourage people just to slow it down, think about evidence, and also just pray and let God guide you. I love in scripture, I think it's Ephesians, where Paul says that, we are not, it's after he talks about it's in Ephesians where he talks about the armor of God discourse, like put on the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness.
Yeah, Ephesians 6.
Yeah, and so he says in there, we will not be children tossed about to and fro by the winds of doctrine. And if you just follow confident people, at least people who sound confident, you will be tossed about to and fro, so.
Yeah, I noticed that there is a correlation there between people who sound uber confident tend to be very insecure, I've found.
What's interesting also is I find that the smartest people I know are able to speak in very simple terms.
Yes.
That
Jimmy Akin.
Yeah. He can just, and I love when Jimmy will discuss things because Jimmy can go very deep on subjects. He and I had a deep back and forth on the Kalam argument. We have it's never easy to disagree with Jimmy Akin on something. You want to get on stage and be like, Jimmy, here's why I think you're wrong. It takes a lot of gumption to want to do something like that. But but we actually do agree a fair amount. I've changed my mind a lot on that, but we still have a disagreement there. But Jimmy can just, he has no pretension to want to sound smart. He can just be smart.
I know. And
then the smartest people I know are all like that. One of my favorite Protestant philosophers is Josh Rasmussen.
Yeah.
Teaches at D'Souza. He wrote a book called How Reason Can Lead to God. And we were speaking at the Capturing Christianity conference like 4 years ago. That's where I debated Ben Watkins, who's another smart guy. And we could just talk and just like be on the intellectual treadmill. And I'm like, oh, this is so fun. I never get to have anyone that could just do this, but without someone just like being pretentious about it. Like, for example, like jargon is fine when you're among experts and you need a shorthand to refer to something. But I can tell a lot of times a lot of people online might use jargon just to confuse people or sound smart when it wouldn't help your audience to use these kinds of terms. So I find that there are people who oftentimes want to try to sound smart. And then there are just people who really are smart and they can just communicate that well to people.
My colleague and friend Isabel Brown is quite sanguine about the fact that many Gen Zers are turning to Catholicism. I'm old and cynical, so I'm like, there's got to be whatever the opposite of silver lining is. There's got to be that there somewhere.
There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and usually it's an oncoming train. It's an oncoming train.
All right, so it's a freight train coming. So what is your take on this resurgence or return to Catholicism for many young people?
I would say there are definitely stories that have become public. We are seeing, I think, a resurgence in vitality and vigor among those who choose to return to the faith or come to it, and it's definitely increased a lot in the public consciousness. But I think the data does not show this like giant wave of Gen Z becoming Catholic, and we have new. And this is a disagreement that I also had recently with my colleague Joe Heschmeyer and others when they were kind of being really triumphal about Catholicism. And when I look at the data, I don't see anything contradicting the claim that for every one person who becomes Catholic, 8 leave. Now, I've been told by others, oh, well, that's really older data. Like it could be different, right? It could be better, or it could be the same, or it could be worse. But now we have from Pew 2023, 2024 data. And what I'm seeing among Gen Z is like one of the least Christian generations.
Really?
And it's like, and if we just think, oh, all Gen Z are Deus Vult Catholics or Christian nationalist Calvinists, or they're all these like really hardcore Christians, maybe on the internet where the algorithm has locked you into a small bubble. I mean, think about when you're on, because like if you're on X, for example, I'm sure there's like, let's say 1,000 usernames that seem familiar to you.
I mean, I'm never on X. So
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, if you're on there and you just see posts that come up, right?
Okay.
I mean, there are
You
tens.
see the people you know. Is that the point?
Yeah, you see a tiny fraction.
Yeah.
You're not seeing the world.
No.
You're not seeing there's tens of millions of people in this country.
And my understanding is that Twitter changed its algorithm when Elon came on as well. So it used to be the case that you would just see what's trending in the world right now.
Now you see what you want to see.
Now you see what you want to see.
Yeah, so it distorts your view of the world. And if you just think all Gen Z are like these hardcore Christians, you're going to miss, and also thinking that like atheism is dead, we killed it. I do think new atheism has kind of died off. That's kind of cringe now, the Reddit atheism. But a different kind of atheism, either more relaxed Gen Z atheism or agnosticism, or kind of more highbrow Alex O'Connor, trying to treat religion respectfully, but still disagree with it. That's gaining a lot. And we're just saying, oh, well, they're all Catholic, they're all Christian, this is great. Well, we're missing out on people who are really far from the Lord. And that's my mission. Like at Council of Trent, like I want to reach the most people who are the furthest away from God. So that's why like I don't want to talk about silly things. I want to talk about just like clickbait or drama, or I just try to think to myself, okay, who are the people who are the furthest away doctrinally, also furthest away morally, and how can I help them?
Look, are you tired of sending your money every month to a phone company that doesn't share your values? I want to tell you about our sponsor, Charity Mobile, because they're different. They're proudly pro-life, and they're not apologizing for it. Here's what I love. Every month, they take a percentage of what you pay and send it directly to the pro-life, pro-family charity that you choose. Over the last 30 years, that's added up to millions of dollars, making a real difference. And here's the thing, you're not sacrificing anything. Plans start under $50 before taxes and fees. You get the same nationwide coverage as the major carriers, but when you call customer service, you're talking to actual pro-life Americans who care about helping you. Right now, if you're a new customer, use my code MattFradd and you'll get a free phone with every new line, plus they'll waive activation and shipping. So it's pretty simple. Why not have your phone bill actually support what you believe in? Check out Charity Mobile and see for yourself. To get started, visit CharityMobile.com/MattFradd. That's CharityMobile.com/MattFradd and use promo code MattFradd at checkout.
It is bananas, though, to think that today it's cool, even just online, to be a trad, Orthodox, Catholic, Coptic, in a way that
as the kids would say, there is a vibe shift there. I don't deny
What is
that.
the vibe shift? Because the internet didn't exist when you and I were growing up, thank God, and we can talk about that. But if it did, none of us would be. You'd be laughed.
Well, I disagree slightly with that. So, I mean, my childhood, I started high school in 1999. So pre-high school childhood would be a time where I would say atheism was a weird thing. It was not a celebrated thing.
No, that's true.
When Sinead O'Connor ripped up a picture of the Pope on Saturday Night Live, she was booed at a conference weeks later. Like Joe Pesci has to go on SNL and be like, "What's the matter with you? You doing this?" So like there was still Christianity was seen as an important bulwark, especially in the 90s, and we had a kind of a return of the American values. Like I think one reason that like George Bush one in the year 2000 was because people saw like what Clinton did at the office, the moral aspects of the presidency, and they want like a return to morality. You have in the 80s and 90s, you have like people in Congress testifying about video game ratings and rap lyrics, and so things like that. What really turned for me is in 2001. Well, you have the rise of the internet, and then you have September 11th. Where now it's like, oh, religion is not just another thing that I disagree with. It's an existential threat. So I would say if we did have the internet in the 90s, well, who knows? It wouldn't be the great 90s that I enjoyed, but wouldn't be the same. But I do think that the viciousness of trying to say that religion isn't just wrong, it's a dangerous delusion.
Yep.
That was unique in the post 9/11 landscape. What changed that, I think, was, people have this idea that once we get perfect rationality, once we get rid of religion, we'll have flying cars and all of this great stuff. And instead, we've got people saying, well, maybe bestiality isn't that bad.
Men can have periods.
Men can have, or not that men can have periods, but that you are a bigot if you don't believe that.
Yeah.
And what was interesting in what we call the Great Awakening, so that period really after Obama was elected, I think what that also showed is like you can take man out of religion, but you can't take religion out of the man. People still want to explain there is original sin. For America, it's slavery and discrimination of the founding fathers. There has to be a way of atonement. There has to be things we have to do, to sacrifices that have to be made, adulations that have to be offered. Man, as the Catechism says, man is a religious animal. We're a religious creature. We're ordered towards giving praise to God. So, come on. Was it just a random thing that all throughout history people would try to find anything near them, like a bird or a statue of man, and like offer worship to it, or the children? Like we are built to offer worship to something greater than us. If you take God out of it, it's going to be idolatry, animism, Great Awakening. In the 20th century, it was dictatorial communism. It was the state. The state becomes God. So there's always going to be something.
So do you think it was a reaction to that woke insanity?
Yes, the Great Awakening. Yeah, because the Great Awakening became a new religion. Transgenderism is a perfect example of a religion. It's elevating the idea of gender, which is an immaterial, scientifically undetectable concept that other people have to recognize or risk being called a blasphemer. You can't, so people are like, oh, this is nuts. So that's why, like, I love in my book on socialism, I wrote with Catherine Bacallic, who's a Catholic economist. We promoted a view of society and reality called Christian realism. It's understanding God created the world. Christianity is the way of aligning understanding it, but we're also realists about human nature, how people function together. But I think the Great Awakening created that kind of a backlash, seeing like, oh, it's not a question of religion or no religion. Sorry. It's just what ultimate thing are you going to believe in?
And then I've said multiple times, I think Jordan Peterson became something of a gateway drug into Christianity for many people, at least in the sense that he helped them stop making fun of it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Well,
His Bible lectures on YouTube that have had millions and millions of views.
Well, he tapped into, even just going back to Aquinas, like one of the things that was interesting about Aquinas was that what was controversial about his work at the time it was published was his work on human anthropology and psychology. But now we've come to see that like there's these great insights rooted in Christianity. I think a lot of it, though, is a bit of a pushback. So going back to the Pew stuff, by the way, a lot of people think like, oh, Catholics are overtaking because we're seeing a collapse in Protestantism. And we are. The main lines are collapsing. I've heard that like some of the average Methodist denominations, there's like 20 people in attendance in these huge churches that have endowments, so they can keep going, but nobody attends them. There'll be museums in 20 years. And we're seeing a collapse there of, and this is something I've spoken with other learned Protestants about, Gavin Ortlund, Jordan Cooper, who are really trying to bring back an intellectual tradition. Redeemed Zoomer's doing the same thing, where people rebel against this shallow Christianity. Then they embrace a shallow atheism and realize that can't be fulfilling. And so I think from there, you either go to a deeper form of atheism, which is either a kind of nihilism, or some kind of secular humanism that really tips towards Christianity, or you go to a deeper understanding of the Christian faith. So it's not about religion or no religion, it's just shallow worldviews or deep worldviews. And thankfully, we've had 2,000 years of building up a deep worldview. Something even Graham Oppy is an atheist. He did a review of J.P. Moreland, an evangelical philosopher, in his book review of Moreland, he said there's a lot of different denominations. Look at Catholicism, probably the most developed and deepest form of theology in the Christian tradition. So, I mean, I think people are hungering for a deep, abiding worldview to ground them when life throws tough stuff at you, brain tumors included, right?
So if the mainstream denominations in Protestantism are collapsing, what do you suspect the future of Protestantism will be in the United States in like 15, 20 years?
I also think the bigger like mega church things, those shallow things are collapsing. The more close-knit evangelical communities, those seem to be growing a lot.
Why is that?
Well, I think because people do hunger for community in an age where we're lonelier than ever.
Yeah.
We have a loneliness epidemic. And I think it's especially for men, but for everybody. Women are just better at making friends. I mean, you and I are both married. How many of our friends do we have because our wives hooked
My
us up
wife
with
makes
football?
best friends with people on the elevator. Whereas me, as an introvert, if I get into an elevator with someone I don't know, it ruins my day.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of my arguments, like, because I debated, Pearl a while back on the marriage being good for men. I think one point, some people think like, oh, well, I don't need to be married. I'll be fine. Women will just ruin me. But it's like, no, actually as a man, like if you forsake it, like women civilize us, they help us to be our best selves.
That's what I mean. Yep.
And especially I see a lot of guys struggle with, I've read these really sad posts online from guys saying like, I've tried so hard to make friends and I don't know where to go. Like we don't have third spaces. It is a very difficult thing. But like when you're married, like women are just good at just, they're made for that, and we get dragged along for the ride and it helps us.
So just like modern feminism has done a real injustice to women, such that you hear many stories today of women in their 40s, 50s, 60s who never married because they were going to be like the boss girl or whatever they're called.
Right.
And now they're desperately alone and can't go back in time and have children. Do you think in 20 years we're going to see that men were influenced in a similar way by the bro movement online?
Yeah. So the Manosphere, red pill movement. And what's difficult here is there are things that they say that are true. I think what's difficult is people say, oh, but they say this is right and this is true, so why wouldn't I follow them? Hey, look, Father James Martin says correct stuff. Bishop Barron endorsed his book on prayer. But clearly he says really problematic things that you have to be on high alert for. Much the same way in the so-called Manosphere, there are things they'll say that are true, like for men, if you want to attract women, there's things you should do, things you shouldn't do. But the ones who go down the path, especially more of like black pilling or men go their own way, MGTOW, this idea like, oh, I'm just better off without women. One thing in Catholic theology, I was reading an article about this on Homiletic Pastoral Review, is the idea of marriage as a natural vocation. Like some people get all nervous in our Catholic circles, like, well, I don't know, am I called to marriage? Like, yeah, you are. Because priesthood is a supernatural vocation. Only a few are called to that. But marriage, everybody is called to marriage in virtue of having a body that is created male or female. It doesn't mean you have to get married, but it means it's something natural. That's why, people who aren't Catholic obviously are called to marriage too. So I worry that like some who have like bit into propaganda, it's really similar to the 90s and early 2000s girl boss feminism, third wave raunch feminism, right? They'll have horror stories about men. I'm better off without men. I don't need a man.
And you could imagine a woman who's listening to this who has been hurt by men is saying, but so much of what they're saying is true.
Yes. And I've seen it. I don't need that. And then they go forward 20 years and can't go back. I do really worry about men. They'll think like, oh, you know what? Well, even if I'm 40 or 50 and I want to get married, I'll just get married then. Well, it might be hard if you've learned to just kind of be by yourself, haven't been in a social group. And honestly, it's a fantasy if you think if you're a guy in your mid-40s, like, oh, well, I'm going to pick up that girl in her mid-20s just super easy. That's what we call magical thinking. Rather, and especially this idea of just, and it all comes back to what we said earlier about social media being on there so much. It just fries your brain and keeps you from appreciating the beauty of life as it is, because you're just presented with so many things that are just fake, and it's just not the case. It's like people who live on processed food, and when they try to just eat beans, rice, and vegetables, they hate it. It takes a bit, then they realize, I feel way better on this, because it's real.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody recently about this, about how the Manosphere movement will not only perhaps, and again, I'm not I'm not saying it's all bad, of course, but not only will it cause men in 20 years to be like, I can't believe I never got married, I bought into this thing, but it also might make for very unhappy marriages. In other words, if you've got
you have a chip on your shoulder, right? And then eventually you just get married because you're like, well, I better, kind of like the women dilemma. I'm getting older. My prospects are actually thinning. It'll become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes, and you'll say all women are the same, just like women said all men are the same.
You'll delay, get married because you feel now pressured to, and the woman you'll marry is someone in a similar boat who has also baggage and is dysfunctional, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in that regard. That's why, I don't know. That's why I feel like, I was talking to Laura about this. Gen Z can weigh in on it if it's controversial to help them. I really want to encourage marriage and early marriage, but I think Gen Z is going to have to get over the age gap thing. Have you heard about age gap discourse?
No, tell me.
And Gen Z in the comments, I believe I'm correct about this. Someone else can shout it out if I'm wrong. Gen Z is much more sensitive to power imbalances in relationships.
Okay.
So they would say, for example, when I started dating Laura, I met her and we started dating, I was 25 and she was 19.
Yep.
And that would be like, for many Gen Z, verboten.
Oh, really?
Not okay.
Now, would it be verboten for Gen Z girls and Gen Z guys? Well,
they would say the guys are, it's predatory.
Oh.
It's like,
would the fellas say that as well? Would they, or just
the who've bought into this?
Yeah.
So they'll say like these age gaps, this age gap discourse, like, oh no, you've got to be within like only 1 or 2 years of each other. But really, it's like it takes guys a while to get their career going. So like, I wasn't able to really get married till I was 28.
Dude, when I got married, the day I got married, I was an unemployed illegal alien.
Yeah, but you're a trophy husband.
That's true. I was very attractive.
Yeah.
Also, was thrilled.
Not all of us can do that.
Thrilled that ICE wasn't in full swing back then. Anyway,
they carry you off. And hopefully you have all your paperwork in order, Matt. Because I would laugh hysterically if they just bust through the door.
Well, I am legally an American right now.
All right.
So it's no longer as bad as it used to be. But my point was, no, I agree that it takes men a long time to get their career in order. I'm glad that I'm married.
But you're saying you don't necessarily have to have all your ducks in a row.
No.
I'd like to have a few ducks.
A couple of ducks.
Yeah. Put a few in the pond and we're off to the races. So I do think, and I talked about this with Nick Freitas.
You were about to say Fuentes?
No, Freitas.
Yeah.
No, there are two... that is two diametrically opposed versions of masculinity, Nick Freitas and Nick Fuentes.
Okay.
And I'll just say there, look up both and you'll see what I mean.
Freitas is amazing. He's such a good dude.
Yes, he is. And so we had a great chat about Catholicism a while ago. And he said I should come back on the show, talk about biblical manhood. We were talking about stuff, talking about jiu-jitsu, talking about all of this stuff and how you can be a masculine guy, without being overbearing. And we were talking about the idea of women, because there was another woman we knew who was going back into law school in her 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And, like women will say like, oh, why don't I just do my career in my 20s and 30s and then I'll have kids. Having kids after 35, you are geriatric maternity. You have high risk, very, very low fertility. And also, even if you do get pregnant, it's like the energy you have when you're 40 to chase kids around.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So it's like, well, why don't we just reverse it? Why not have a family in your 20s, then start a career in your late 40s? Why not? Why not do that? Well, I'm going to be so tired in my 40s. What's more tiring? Going to work and managing that, or kids and they're screaming in the middle of the night like they did last night, my leg hurts, because he's so cute, my little 5-year-old has little growing pains. He's going to be like, I always joke with his brothers, he's the youngest boy.
Yep.
But I think as they're getting older, watching their growth track, he's going to be bigger than both. He's going to be the bigger little brother.
Yeah.
So like even when they were at jiu-jitsu, my middle child was teasing the younger one, and the black belt coach is like, don't do that to him. He's going to be bigger than you one day, and he's going to learn this stuff.
No, but I get what you're saying. I mean, this is the second of 3 shows I'm recording today. There's no way I'm more tired than my wife is right now with 3 kids at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're older than your kids too.
Even when it's tiring. I mean, I went on a Catholic Answers cruise 10 years ago to, I haven't been back on one in a while. I would like to go on one, but I really feel bad sacking Laura with kids. How do you sack your wife with kids for 2 weeks and then call up on the phone? There's
honey.
no, like, how's it going? And you pick up the phone and you just hear screaming, and the kid's like, what are you doing, Dad? And you're like getting midnight cookies, which is something I did do on the cruise. That was delightful. It's just like, how can you do that to your spouse, you know? But that's why it's like, why not start a family early? And if career is something you really want to pour yourself into, you'll have ample time. And the thing is, you will learn more, you'll grow financially and in wisdom. Do it later. Save your best self for your children, who are kind of images of your best self, or should be.
Now, I'm 42. How old are you?
41.
Oh,
yesterday I was to turn 41. Was that shocking to you?
I thought you were a lot younger than me. There you go. We're like the same age.
You know why that is? Because Laura makes me younger. So maybe she brings that out in me.
I don't know. But you know what's funny is I would love to talk a little bit about what it was like growing up in the 80s and 90s.
Just do it, man.
Isn't it? But the first phone I ever had was not even a flip phone. It was a brick phone, and I was 17. Now, technology advanced slower in Australia than it did in America, obviously.
Yeah.
So I would probably have more in common with a 50-year-old than I would with someone my own
if
age.
you go to Europe, what's one of the things, like if you go to Eastern Europe, what's really quaint about it is it kind of feels like the 90s.
It's the best. I love it. Yeah, I was just there.
Because you've been there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You go and you see like the the pop culture being consumed.
Yeah, I was in Transylvania and Romania. Yeah,
right.
Hungary, Croatia.
So when you see what they like and things they're into, it's like stuff from like the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to just chase that around the globe. But yeah, it was very different. I think when you said like, what was it like growing up in the 90s? Like the first thing that pops in my head is previously on X-Men. But the phone thing. So the first phone I got was it was a Cricket phone. Oh, it was a big, thick monster. I think I had it sophomore year of high school. I had a nerdy clip function. Like a supervisor, at an electric company would like clip on his belt. So awful.
Did you think it was cool?
I thought it was cool to have a phone and like have freedom, like be able to go and check in with my parents and do things I normally wouldn't be able to do. But otherwise, it wasn't a big part of my life.
Because I grew up in a small country town in South Australia, and one of my favorite things to do would be Friday night, you'd drive over to your friend's house, and we would watch movies, play video games, and go on what we called night walks, which it doesn't take much explaining.
Right.
And it was just, I loved it so much. And I love that there was no option to distract ourselves with anything else. No one sat around looking at screens because there were no screens to look at. So we all just had to be together.
Right. If you look at, and also the internet wasn't distracting. Even if you had a computer, it was 1,600 times slower than it is today.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think in like the year 2000, internet speed was about 127 kilobytes a second. Now we're at 215 megabytes a second.
Yep.
Like the real world moved faster than the online world.
Do you remember?
So you wanted to be in the real world.
Do you remember when you'd have to install a game and it had like 6 floppy disks that you put in one after the other?
Oh yeah. Or when you try to play a video game, you got to switch over to disc 2.
Yeah.
But what we did, like screens and technology, and that's where I just feel so bad for like Gen Z and Gen Alpha today. We got to have the transition. We knew what life was like without screens. When we were little kids, at least for me, it was Capri Sun, Pogs, comic books.
Come on.
Yeah. And then we got screens. But they served to supplement things that were in person. That in-person interaction. I saw a meme actually. It showed a frame, probably from like the movie She's All That, I think.
Okay.
Or Can't Hardly Wait, one of those 2000s teen drama comedies. And it showed like the teen party scene. And under it, somebody wrote like, I always see like parties in movies where people got together and just did this. Was this a real thing or did they make this up?
And we're totally joking, of course.
What?
That was a joke, though, obviously.
No, the meme?
Yeah.
No, I think it was sincere.
Someone was actually asked.
I believe that was 100% sincere. They're like, was this real? Like, did people because people don't do that now.
Huh.
Like, we wanted to have, like, now, when you desire interaction with people, you go on social media. But back then, if you desired interaction, we could use our phones to, like, who's hanging out? Oh, we're over at Brad's house. Oh, yeah, I can come over. I can make that. You know, or I think I was working Harkins movie theaters. It was like junior or senior year of high school. New Year's, got done at like, I managed to finish my shift at 11:20. I just shoved all the popcorn under the seats. Don't look under the seats, you know, you go to the movie theaters and just like blast out of there. I didn't have a car, I had a bicycle and I have my suspenders and my bow tie on. Yep. And I was like, it's New Year's Eve. Like I picked up a shift because it was double pay. And I'm like texting like, hey, you guys up to anything? And it pings around over at Noah's. You know, and we managed to get there with like 15 minutes to spare. Then we spend the whole night just watching old movies. Nobody's on their phones. No one's on their computer. I would love to recover that. But honestly, I think it's kind of a romantic dream.
Oh, it is, for sure.
I mean, it's like trying to recover a time without street lights or automobiles.
Yes.
Which honestly, there was a pope, I cannot remember who, but he did rail against lighting, like artificial lighting, electric lighting.
That is based.
I think it is. At first I would have been like, oh, come on. But, well, no, I mean, so I get what he's saying. I think things could be better. I do think, though, artificial lighting went too far. The freaking LEDs.
Yeah.
There are a few things I hate a lot in life.
Mm-hmm.
I hate cell phones at concerts. One just got ruined for me. I hate that. Another reason to hate phones. Outdoor LED nighttime lights. I think they are purposely meant to just grind us down to be subservient wage slaves. Like think when you go out, like they're bright, they're white, they agitate you.
Yep.
But when you go on a walk under an orange sodium lamp, it feels good. It feels good.
The older I'm getting, the more I feel like a less depraved Larry David. Everybody bothers me, and I can't tell if it's them or me.
Yeah.
Whether I'm at the movie theater and I go very rarely, but someone's in front of me on their phone, I get so angry. Or someone plays music from their phone out loud in the same room as you, maybe in a restaurant.
You and we should do a remake of the movie Grumpy Old Men.
Yes.
And that's what we're going to
just go around slapping people.
Turn into. But yeah, it is a sense of when especially with phones, people are so consumed into that. They turn inward into themselves. And then, become oblivious.
What do you think of the idea that the internet has replaced real life? I'm being hyperbolic, but the internet has replaced real life. Therefore, we do not know how to live in real life. Therefore, social interactions, you're right to think they're getting increasingly weird and will only get weirder.
So then people get anxious and they retreat. It becomes a cycle. Then it's
like, think that's right?
I do think so.
I mean, going on an airplane and the way people act. I can't tell if I'm just getting older and grumpier or if people don't know how to act in public anymore.
I think it's probably a combination
probably
of the two. We have to always remember that we're not neutral observers. You know, the way we perceive life is going to be different. I was reading a graph somewhere that said that childhood represents half of our perceived life. Because think about it, we all had that experience when we were 10 years old and it was summer vacation. Summer lasted forever. And then we're like, it's August already? Because you perceive it differently when you're older and have already gone through things. And there's different ways of trying to explain that. Yep. It's like 3 months for a 10-year-old is a much larger portion of his life versus 3 months for you or I. Yep. It's 4 times smaller. So, we're not neutral observers. So I think, and this has happened to me, I've seen it in my apologetics. When I was 20, like when I started at Catholic Answers, I was 28, 29, fresh-faced, getting good sleep.
Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.
Yes, and I was very optimistic. I'll tell you a story, actually. When I started pro-life apologetics when I was about 18, that was really where I cut my teeth. How that got started was there was this girl who invited me to her prom. She went to a very small Catholic school, and there were only 20 people in their high school. So everyone invited somebody out of the school. So she invited me. I meet her dad. He's the president of the State Right to Life organization. And I felt really convicted, like I should do something and be involved and speak. And so I got involved and I would do talks on pro-life, and I was very charitable. I remember once, like I was talking to Mr. J, my mentor. I said, I'm going to say this, like, oh, we should really give him the benefit of the doubt about a pro-choice guy. And he said, Trent, they will lie through their teeth. Don't believe anything they say to you. And I had thought back then, like, oh gosh, grumpy, cynical old man, But now that I am older, I'm in that position, I'd go back and tell 28-year-old Trent, yeah, you haven't seen the things that I've seen. You haven't seen people lie to your face, try to destroy you, try to do all of these inhuman things. But I think it's a good thing. And that's why I worry about the internet making people overly cynical. Like if you think of the worst of people when you're 21, where do you have to go when you become a grumpy old man? Where do you have to go? So you really should start your life in your 20s, especially overly optimistic and cheerful, and then gradually get beaten down by life where you don't become cynical, but you become prudent, savvy. You've attained a wisdom of the world in that regard. So I worry about people growing overly cynical and then missing out on wisdom because they still see life instead of a distorted happy lens, it's a distorted angry lens. So that's where now I would see, like, go back to my older self, be like, it's a lot rougher than you think, Trent.
Tell me one of your best memories from childhood. I don't want to say the best one because that's too difficult to narrow down. Just give me one. What's a good memory from childhood? Something you used to do that you look fondly on.
Oh, goodness. Laura will tell you at this point, don't do that.
Why?
Because I am painfully nostalgic. Nostalgia is a huge weakness for me.
Let's get into it. She's not here.
Right.
You can't tell her what to do, Laura.
Well, it's funny to share. I think I have a very melancholic temperament, extremely melancholic. And I read somewhere that nostalgia, what's interesting is nostalgia was once thought to be a very serious mental illness. Like soldiers who had nostalgia in like the Russian army would be taken and shot because it'd be such bad. It'd be like they were like out marching to this battle they don't want to be at, and they're whistling a song from home, and they're like, Jordson, remember that song from home? Oh, I love doing that. Like, and then the morale infects the whole troops.
Well, no one will shoot you here.
No one will shoot me.
And Laura won't see this till well after it's recorded.
So I think that nostalgia. I read in this article saying that the melancholic's longing for nostalgia is sort of like his longing for heaven.
Amen.
Because he wants a good, unchanging thing.
Yes. What a beautiful way to put it.
And the past can only exist in our memories that are not accurately reflective of reality. So we can make it this ideal, unchanging thing that we retreat to. So you're like, now you make me cry. Give me more.
No, dude. I'll tell you one of my best memories, but you go
ahead
first.
Well, okay. I guess 2 would be, I don't know, be in the upstairs loft. Playing, what do you mean by childhood? You mean like teen or little kid?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
You pick.
All right.
Teen's fine. I'm going to say something.
I remember a teen memory. We were all, a bunch of us guys got together. It was a co-ed group. We were all hanging out. It was senior year at a friend's house. He's a 5th year senior. So he was grown up with an apartment. And so we had 2 televisions hooked up together. And so a LAN party, 4-on-4 Halo. The girls just hanging out with us talking. They were practicing baking. So like we got brownies also. We're like, oh man. But we were like a cool co-ed group where we just all chilled and liked each other. And like, we could get along. And I remember it was like 49-49. The grenade goes off. You're falling down the platform. I get 1 pistol shot through Sam's head. And it's like, you did it. It all culminates to that. Or, just like the late night things you mentioned, like just like being out all night, just having like wholesome bonding fun and not knowing what the night would bring. And there is that air of adventure about it. If I was a child, I guess something similar, but the air of adventure was in very small things. Like I went back to my old hometown and I remember behind this playground, I thought there was this huge forest and I went and walked through it and there was like 4 trees, but like it seemed big to me because I was little. So a big adventurous, I think having those big adventurous moments when you're young before you can grow up and realize they're really more bigger in your heart, but it's okay. Just keep them there because they still formed who you were.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. A lot of my greatest memories have to do with video games. And I've shared this with my wife and she always says, oh, that's so sad. She's probably right, but I think, no,
she's not. That's not sad. That's the digital woolly mammoth hunt. I'm sure 50,000 years was your great memory. Oh, Bjornsson. I don't know why it's the same with the Russian soldier's name. What would a caveman be named 50,000 years ago? Rockhead. Yeah. Oh, Rockhead and I, we were going at this woolly mammoth. We were going 49-49, and I threw the spear and it went right through his head, and we were all, oh, it's amazing. How is that? How's that not the analog?
I think what she means, and I think she's right, is like if you were out running around in the paddocks throwing spears at each other, that would objectively be a cooler thing than doing it digitally. That's what she probably mean that,
and that's why
she's probably right.
But that's why I think 50 years ago, when you had like the Sandlot type environment, or like movies like Stand by Me touch us so well.
But my point is just that it's so fond. So some of my greatest memories, I would wake up in the morning on a Saturday, get on my BMX bike, ride it over to my best friend Jake's house. Yeah. Knock on his door with my numb fist from the cold. He'd welcome me in. We would drink coffee, eat Tim Tams. I don't know if you know what those are.
I know Tim. Oh, I always have Tim Tams when I'm there.
And then we would play video games like the Pandora Directive, Doom, Duke Nukem 3D, Quake, all those games. And I just don't remember ever being happier. And I'm sure if I was there, I would go, no, there's other stuff I want to do. I'm not, but my memory of that is terrific. So that would be one of them.
You weren't carrying the weight of the world yet.
It was wonderful. It was so wonderful. And then the second thing that I love, similar to you, is those nighttime conversations. So, I mean, think about this, Gen Z who are watching. We would have what we called glue conversations, which stood for God, life, the universe, and everything. And we weren't even religious. So we'd have a couple of beers under our belt. We'd walk out onto some, desolate, lonely road. We'd lay on our backs, look up at the stars, and we'd all just chat. And we'd talk about like, what are stars and what's life, and because there was nothing else to distract us.
But I think what's important is like, I don't want to blame Gen Z for like having a lack of connections or things like that. I really feel like,
course.
I feel like they got like them and Alpha, but especially Gen Z also got a really raw deal, especially with especially when COVID wrecked high school and college for those prime bonding times that you would have. Now they want to go out in the world. The housing market's gone absolutely nuts. Social media, internet. I think especially for millennials and older like us, we're parents of Gen Alpha, Gen X are parents of Gen Z, that we have like a responsibility to like, okay, I would like to help you to find what God is hoping for you and to find that happiness that like I had also when I was younger, and I can help you with that. So my friend Melanie, our friend Melanie, for example, does will host like just like these swing dancing nights for high schoolers. So I think they would be Gen Alpha or very, very young Gen Z. And just telling the boys like, hey, boys, are you asking a girl to marry you? No. Girls, is he asking you to marry you? No. We're just going to dance and have fun and create an environment for that. Because if we don't actively go out and create these environments, an evil thing will fill the void. That's just what's going to happen. So I think as older generations, and I would love, that's why I'm doing for my children, like I even created a little retro room where I play like the older platforms.
Yeah.
With my sons. And I would love to be like, have your friends over, stay up, like maybe not a sleepover, because I would not let my kids go to sleepover, by the way. That's just where naughtiness and bad things happen, which I remember from being younger. There's things we've improved on, but maybe like a late over. Like everybody can stay and parents will come get you at midnight or 1 even. And then it's like, just to create, I think it's important for those of us who are older to make sacrifices of our time, our talent, and our treasure so we can provide areas and environments for young people to grow and properly develop that the world has really robbed them of. And I think we have that obligation now, and we have to take that seriously.
Bible Across America, an inspiring initiative from the St. Paul Center, represents an unprecedented opportunity to unite the entire church through the world's largest Bible study. This transformative program invites believers to embark on a spiritual journey alongside thousands of fellow individuals and groups from across the globe, creating a powerful sense of communion that transcends geographical boundaries. As participants delve deeply into Scripture together, they will discover new dimensions of knowledge and cultivate a more profound love for our Lord Jesus Christ. The experience goes beyond mere academic study, offering participants the chance to encounter Christ in a personal and meaningful way through both the sacred Scripture and the vibrant community of fellow seekers. Through this dual approach of Scripture engagement and communal learning, participants will find themselves increasingly equipped and empowered to share their faith with confidence and authenticity, becoming effective witnesses to others in their own lives and communities. It is so important that we Catholics and Protestant Christians as well study and learn to love sacred Scripture, and I personally can't think of any group better to help with that than the St. Paul Center. Transform your journey this year. Join the movement alongside a global community starting February 18th. Don't miss out. Sign up today at stpaulcenter.com/pints.
I was talking to Joe Heschmeyer about this recently. What do you think about dating and Gen Z? Because I've gotten to the point where I've stopped offering advice because everyone just looks at me like I'm so out of touch when I tried to offer advice. What are you seeing?
Well, I mean, what's hard is people are they're gonna say the same thing to myself when it comes to that.
I don't know. You seem more hip than me. You're way younger than me. 2 years.
1 year. I'm 1 year younger.
I'm 42.
I'm 41.
We did that. I can do math. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, this is something now I think this also happens. This is another responsibility that we have. Like my wife and I will try like, oh, we know this girl who's 19 or 20. Do we know a good guy for them? Like being able to pair people together. You know what? I mean, it's like, don't give me advice. You don't know what it's like. Well, I do know that it does seem pretty terrible. And I'm not trying to tell you you're being bad or stupid or dumb. I just see you're in a bad place and I could try to offer some help. I agree. I think dating apps are awful. Mm-hmm. I think they are designed just to kind of reward bad behavior, treat people more for vainglory. The apps, I mean, think about it, the apps don't have an incentive for you to be paired off and turn the app off.
I think they can be evil. I don't think they have to be.
No,
I think they certainly can be the lesser of two
There's
evils.
a difference. I'm saying there's dating websites and there's dating apps.
Okay.
I think there's a difference. There's a difference between Catholic Match and Tinder.
Of course, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So so when I say dating apps, I'm talking about like Tinder,
I gotcha.
Hinge, the most superficial swipe left, swipe right, because that's just not how it works. So like for me, if I wanted to recreate an environment that I had, so like I didn't start dating Laura till I was 25. So in my dating in my early 20s, like for a lot of guys who are following the Manosphere and other people like that, they'll give you what, and this isn't new, by the way. I remember hearing this crap from the pickup artists, PUA. You ever hear them?
No.
A relative of mine. So pickup artists were the big deal in like the early 2000s, who would teach men how to psychologically manipulate women and pick them up in public. Like just go up to a random woman, get her phone number. Okay. And they just use these little psychological tricks and manipulations and other just weird things to get attention, confidence boost, peacocking, all that stuff. There was even a reality TV show based on this called The Pickup Artist. Neil Strauss was a guy who wrote a book about it called The Game, I think. And Mystery was this ridiculous guy with a top hat and wears a big clock. Not the other guy who wore a clock, that was Flavor Flav. But, and he would just like try to like teach these guys how to be pickup artists. And I see it now with the Manosphere of like red pill of trying to just manipulate women to use them, where black pill are like, just stay away from them, it's not even worth it. But it's a lot of the same thing, that there's what's called cold approach and warm approach. So cold approach is like, you're attractive, I'm going to go up to you, I'm going to flirt or show I have Riz. We called it game, which I think made more sense. And I'm going to get your number or your social media handle or whatever. And there's ways you can do that if you apply yourself and you're manipulative enough, sure. But I don't think cold approaches are a good idea, because look, what are the odds, even if you do get this attractive person to be interested in you, what are the odds you two are actually even compatible? You can't build a relationship, just on looks. And I mean, if you just want to go out and engage in carnal sins, hey, you can take that up with the Lord later when there's an accounting. But if you're trying to actually meet someone in relationship, move towards marriage, like a cold approach, the odds this person's compatible with you are just so very, very low. Whereas a warm approach is someone you've already have like a pre-existing relationship with. So that's why in a lot of, honestly, one place where I met a lot of people I ended up going out with was doing pro-life work. There are a lot of women who want to be involved and not as many men. Men are told this isn't your field. And we'd be working side by side, running the pro-life booth together. Then like, oh, well, we're done doing our shift. You want to get coffee after and just kind of hang out? And it grew organically from that. Not the whole like friend zone tricking you type thing, but you're more like acquaintances who are aware of each other. You're not strangers, and you have like, we're pro-life kids. We already have a core value. How many people are out doing a pro-life booth? Like we're already pretty that's why Laura and I connected, because we did
you're in the trenches together.
Well, we did Justice for All. We did a pro-life college outreach program.
Right.
So we already knew like, hey, you like to be crazy and have pictures of aborted fetuses on campus and talk to people? Me too. Turns out not a lot of people have that in common. Wow. That's my Owen Wilson. Wow, you really like that. Well, and I knew she was the right one, because she showed me stories. She was like 17 getting arrested for doing the aborted fetuses on the highway.
Your beautiful wife?
Pictures, not the actual fetuses.
No, of course. Yeah. But your beautiful wife was arrested for that?
Oh, yeah, she was.
Go, Laura.
Wrongfully arrested. And then she was like, but I don't think she was like as hassled by the police, so she got a lesser settlement in the lawsuit. She's like, I wish they'd just gone after me. I could have gotten the big bucks.
Because she's little and blonde and cute.
I know, right? Who could be mean to her?
No, you can't.
Who could be? Anyways, so
the internet.
Yeah, right. So I was just impressed by just how that she's really cute and pretty, but also like she stands up for what she believes and she's fun.
Yeah, I met my wife doing ministry work.
Yeah,
we got to know each other. We became really good friends.
So I think my advice for Gen Z would be grow your friend network as much as you can. And I think relationships can organically come from that through acquaintances and others. Well, where do I go get friends? I get it. I understand that it's hard right now. That's why we, the older generation, have an obligation to help. And it might involve fixing people up. And it's okay to go on a date. And if it works out, great. If not, well, whatever, no harm, no foul. But to create these environments where there can be this
I think we have to go back to arranged marriages, or at least semi-arranged marriages, where I say to a friend who's got a daughter, kind of my son's age, all right, how are we going to make this work?
Well, I think there's a
I'll give you
place for
3 head of cattle.
that. 3 head of cattle. I don't. Well, so far, I don't know. My oldest is absolutely dead set on the priesthood.
Come on.
So I'm a little.
Matthew? Sorry.
He is. Oh no, it's all good. No, he is. I mean, what's funny is I have not I leave it open to him, but ever since he started altar serving,
Yeah.
he wants to go to mass every single day, just to be around that altar. And I really pray the vocation stays. If it doesn't, it's God's will for him. So it is hard, but I mean, the others to see. I think parents should really be involved in that and creating these mutual networks where you don't feel like you have to just go meet a stranger on the internet to get married. To have a long lasting, successful marriage, you need to have core values that unite you. What unites you is it can't be you both have a favorite TV show or something. It's that you both are in agreement about the most important things in life. You're in agreement. So for example, my test, if you're in a relationship, especially for women, and you don't know if the guy, you're a faithful Catholic girl, you're dating a guy, he's rough around the edges, and you think, maybe I can fix him, maybe I can help him. I knew Laura was the one because I knew if I just dropped dead, my children would be absolutely fine if she raised them. So I challenge, especially women, but men too. If you're dating someone, would you trust this person to raise your children if you die? And if the answer is no, cut them loose.
Okay.
Cut them loose. Cut them loose or a year. Don't extend things beyond a year without grave, reasons. But I think finding that. So I think working and volunteering side by side, building these kinds of friend networks, creating multi-generational environments where the older generations who have been through this can help put people in the right places, and creating all of this in a safer offline world. I think that's what we really should be moving towards.
What's your opinion of where the church is at now under Pope Leo? We just went through some turbulent times with Pope Francis. A lot of us lost our stuff. A lot of people felt tremendously anxious.
It fell over the bark of Peter. It fell over the railing. My bags. Don't worry, it'll be fine.
What are you seeing? What's the vibe right now?
I don't. I'm
people
not
seem
sure.
to have calmed down. Partly because
a famous woman
Pope that keeps saying things that
a famous woman once said, "You need to calm down." So maybe that's the advice has been taken. I think I remember when Pope, when Pope Leo was elected, and when it was announced, and when I heard them say, in Latin, Robert Prevost, and Laura's like, "Is that the Pope?" I'm like, "Nah, that can't be the Pope. It's got to be the guy who's announcing the Pope. They're never going to pick I told her they're never going to pick an American."
Did you know who that was?
No. Did not.
You just knew what the
well, I hear
name was
I hear
too
Robert
English sounding?
Prevost. It doesn't sound like I thought they were just let's just get an Italian in here.
Yeah.
Let's go back to basics, get an Italian.
You thought they were announcing the guy who was going to make the announcement?
I guess. Well, it's all in Latin. I don't understand. I'm a Greek guy, not a Latin guy. So I was like, I'm following it a bit. But just seeing it, I appreciate I think a lot of times they see we don't want an American being Pope. The prejudice against that I believe is similar to how in the 60s and even longer after that, there was a feeling in America we don't want a Catholic to be president.
Mm-hmm.
It's that's too much conglomeration of power to put that together. So it's a similar thing in Italy, is saying we don't really want an American to be Pope. But he did a mission field in South America. So he's not just some kind of ivory tower or disconnected, typical cowboy Yankee bishop. But I do think that Americans can bring to the Vatican our unique sense of healthy work ethic and bureaucracy. Bureaucracy can be bad, but also it's one thing, American bureaucracy, but when you go to European things to try to get done, they're like, "Oh, when's the office open?" "Oh, at 10 maybe." "I don't know, 11? I hope we went on our honeymoon. We were in Greece. We're like, let's get breakfast. No restaurants open because nobody feels like being open at 9. It's too early. Literally we have the word Byzantine refers to the Eastern Empire of things that are so convoluted and complicated. You can't figure out all the law codes. So I think Americans can kind of put that forward. I will be the first to say I'm not a Catholic news observer. All I can sense is what I feel from people. I do get kind of a sense from Gen Z more that there's a yearning for tradition, but not necessarily for traditionalism. there's a yearning for tradition.
Make the distinction. What is traditionalism?
Well, I think, like, for example, think about like what we had under Pope Francis' pontificate. You have a resurging interest in like the traditional Latin Mass, and think about the stereotypes of a traditional Latin Mass community, about how someone who is a traditional Catholic carries himself, right? He's got a suit on, got the particular kind of liturgy.
Yep.
Smoking a cigar,
good for him.
Chesterton.
Yep.
You're like, I'm liking this.
I love it.
I love all of it.
I think it's terrific.
Whereas I think for a lot of Gen Z, they might say, well, I really want tradition and Thomas Aquinas and these 19th century classic theologians, but I also like anime and the Novus Ordo. And I don't mind spreading absurd nihilistic memes that don't make sense online because it's hilarious to watch boomers overreact. And I get called a boomer. I'm like, I'm a millennial, man. Come on. I have been called the world's youngest boomer because I do enjoy yacht rock. Thank you very much. But that's where I see, I don't know if that makes sense to make a distinction.
I guess I'm out of touch. I haven't been following the trends of young people. I suppose.
But that's just online too. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not around. I'm not around a bunch of young people. I'm not around people. I work in an office by myself, and 3 times a week I go and people, try to choke me to death in jujitsu. That's all I do.
Well, I think
then I go online.
There's always a reaction to something that comes out strong, right? And so if there was a sort of resurgence of interest in the traditional Latin Mass, which is a terrific thing in my estimation, but if there was in a way that was unhealthy and belligerent and condescending, if that was the case, then it wouldn't surprise me if there was now a reaction to that.
Yeah, but I do think though that for among Gen Z and Catholicism, at least what I'm seeing is a desire, and this is what I've seen from, and not just Catholicism, but I see from Redeemed Zoomer and his followers and others who are involved, there really is a desire to go beyond the surface level. But this could also just be a selection effect too. I do see it, at least in the online interactions I had, people who spend a lot of time there. What's interesting, you'll have like younger Catholics who get really, really fascinated with particular precise theological questions, but then sometimes they can't see the forest for the trees and don't want to just focus on, let's just grow in the fruits of the Holy Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control.
Yeah.
But at the same time though, the internet is a self-selected small sliver of the general population. I was just at Seek. You were at Seek, right?
Yep.
Yeah. You meet thousands of people, and I think they really also just hunger for the faith being presented in a way that's easy to understand, that's applicable for their life, that can bring them and others joy and knowledge of salvation. And I just feel a burden and a joy also to like want to present that for them and renew the culture that they're in, but also just like a sense that they want to live the faith, but they live in an unusual time, like the things we've been discussing of where they've lost third spaces, lost communal activities, loneliness epidemic, excessive online behavior, even just excessive things related to body modification, gym, plastic surgery. I also worry about this generation that, well, like every generation has to heighten its ability to detect BS. So if you think about it, it's like who falls for like the Nigerian email scams, right? It's like, Mom, like when we were millennials, when we first got on the internet, we're like, Mom, did you download a cursor? Oh, now we got a virus. We got to get the Norton antivirus out here. And so there's a sense you have to get more and more able to spot like people that are coming after you. Mm-hmm. And so you can't put up your real self. Mm-hmm. You have to be wary. But if every generation has to get more wary of not just like rogue bad operatives online, but literally algorithms coming after you, I feel like, especially with Gen Z, is more of like, there can be like a detachment or a reliance on irony and absurdism.
Constant irony.
Yeah, to protect yourself. I believe, I want to say it was Kierkegaard, the Christian existentialist philosopher, who said that in the face of tragedy, the only proper response is laughter, or in the face of bleakness. The idea is that when you look at just absurdity, sometimes you just have to laugh. It's the only way you can navigate it. So if the world just seems totally hopeless for you and you think, well, by the time I buy a house when if I'm 20 and by the time I buy a house when I'm 40, median cost of a home will be $2.3 million. And you just start to be overwhelmed about the future and other things going on. You just retreat into irony and don't put your real self out there so you can't be hurt. Yeah, you can't, maybe you're not necessarily getting hurt, but you're dying on the inside. And I would just say to anyone who's struggling, there have been saints, there have been heroic Christians who have been through things aren't perfect now. And I think in some respects things have gotten worse. But there have been Christians who have gone through far, far worse. Those who could maintain I would much rather live in the 21st century than 14th century Europe, right as the fleas infected with the Black Plague come into town. The papacy gives you grief. I'd rather be in a 21st century papacy than the 10th century pornocracy of the horrible, the Pope digs up the cadaver of his predecessor and puts him on trial. And so there have always been darkness, but that is the time when people who cling the closest to God really do shine that light for others to see. And we have that. I love that we have the first millennial saint, St. Carlo Acutis. I remember when I was in, when I did our youth group, those 20 years ago, I was a college volunteer in a high school youth group. And I was telling the high schoolers, look, you guys are really you're the future here. And some of you could be saints. I bet in the future, they're going to have, you look in the church today, there's pictures of saints wearing habits and old clothes. Maybe in the future, we're going to have saints in hoodies and shorts and t-shirts. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not in 500 years in the holographic church.
Right.
But now it's no, when I said that would have been 2005, maybe 2006. That's when St. Carlo Acutis, that's when he passed away. 06.
Yeah.
So it's right there. There's saints in every generation.
Yeah.
And all you have to do to be one is just to say yes to God. And every time the devil knocks you down, go back to God, ask him to pick you back up.
Given how much we know about people nowadays and their every passing opinion, is it going to be the case that in the future we'll have far less saints, more realistic assessment of saints in the sense that a canonization just means this person's in heaven, not that he was infallible? Do you see what I mean? If Carlo Acutis had a YouTube channel, there's probably things he said that he regretted. If he had a Twitter account, no doubt he would have said.
But we have to remember that saints are not.
That's my point.
They're not sinless.
Yeah, that's my point.
You go back to writings of many of the church fathers, and
Jerome.
He's an irascible individual. Things that Chrysostom said, things you say, oh, that's a problematic thing. But we have to look at how they died, how their life was ultimately ordered. You even hear other saints dealing with dark night of the soul and things like that.
I just mean the more we know about human beings who become saints, I think the less tempted we will be to
want to canonize,
divinize, not canonize, but we'll be less likely to be well, they were perfect.
But I think that's important because if you think saints are perfect, then that means you think you can't be a saint.
Yes, thank you. That's
the problem.
Great way to put it.
So we need to get people to be detached from that idea. And many times, though, thankfully, there are saints who left us diaries into their internal struggles. And I think we need to be more cognizant and aware of that so that we can encourage a realistic model of holiness. But I think we also have to remember at the end of the day, 99.99999% of saints are unknown. That it's so funny. You're going to get to heaven. It's the heroes you want to see. It's there's people who have I think we have eternity in heaven. Think of all the stories of saints we'll hear. The Christian woman in Japan when the priests had been banished, who did all wonderful heroic acts that was lost to history. I am just psyched to get there and the body, to learn more and grow deeper in the body of Christ, and then ultimately just growing more and following God for forever.
Now, I don't think you were referencing this particular scripture, but in 1 Peter, let's say chapter 3, verse 15, right, where Peter says partly, to give a defense for the faith, but to do it with gentleness and reverence.
Yes.
I think you said this about St. Paul, the same thing could be said of St. Peter, that you think today, if he were to say something like that, people on the internet would call him a tone-policing feminist.
Yes, I find that very irritating. Especially the charge of tone policing. I don't know what that means. If that means it's wrong for you to tell other people what they should or shouldn't say, first, that's incoherent and contradictory because you're tone policing me in telling me what I shouldn't tell other people. And second, clearly, and because they do that, clearly there are ways of speaking that are unbecoming of a Christian. That should just be obvious. Now, could it be the case that for example, there are overreactions, and we should call that out. Like I did an episode where I said, hey, we can call certain cultures savages. Some cultures engage in savagery, and it should be, not all cultures are equal, and we should be able to say that. And I had some people criticize me, and I think people might call that tone policing. We shouldn't say that, it's a hurtful word. And I can understand that, but that's why in my episode I was very clear. It's racist if you say, oh, well, the savages are all the brown cultures. No. Medieval, well, first, pre-Christian Europe was a very savage place. You had the Druids and Celtics doing human sacrifices. And even in medieval Christianity, you had savagery, savage punishments like drawing and quartering that are incompatible with Christian life, that the church has to discern, oh, this is something that we can no longer do anymore. So the tone policing thing, I think that what I would say here is no, don't say tone policing. Just say, look, is the criticism valid or invalid? To say like, you shouldn't say that. Why shouldn't I? Mm-hmm. Okay. So for example, like profanity. I don't think profanity in and of itself is a bad thing necessarily. I remember when Stephen Colbert did an interview with Philip Zimbardo. Zimbardo did back in the 70s the Stanford prison experiment. You're familiar with that?
No.
It was a unethical experiment, like many in the 1970s, where college students were recruited to role play a prison in a basement at Stanford University. So half the students are guards, half of them are inmates, and see how they interact with each other. And about like even a few days into it, the guards become sadistic and start abusing the prisoners. And Zimbardo used this to try to talk about the innate sinfulness of, the innate evils in man. And I would agree with a lot of that, actually. So he did an interview with Stephen Colbert, and he was like trying to defend the devil as like the good guy in a story in scripture. And Colbert, back when he was like actually decent Catholic Colbert, this is a long time ago, he like says, no, it was Adam and Eve's free choice. The devil was he schooled Zimbardo on the point. And Zimbardo says, oh, you must have attended your Sunday school. And Colbert goes, I teach Sunday school, mother effer. Oh. And it's like, I'm like, nice. And they're like, you shouldn't say that. I'm like, no, that's awesome. But so that might be like tone policing and get mad about that. Where in the context in a secular cable television show, like, oh, okay, that was a cool way to stand up for the faith. But it's when people use profanity in an abusive way, when they are and you know it when you see it, when you use it to try to belittle, degrade, mock a person just because you think they're wrong about something. That's unbecoming for a Christian. The 2 Timothy is very clear. It says the servant of the Lord must be kind, it must gently correcting people with kindness so that they may escape from the snares of the devil. Colossians says, let no filthy talk flow from your mouths. Like it is, when you read scripture, it is just patently clear. You should not be a total a-hole when dealing with people. Mm-hmm. People should be offended by the truth you present, not by you who is presenting it. That's the goal.
Yeah.
So that's why, I think that a lot of the things that if Paul was, in Paul's letters especially, he tells people, to present yourself with kindness. And interesting in his letters, it's always interesting in the letters to see what is not said. You have to infer. Like the troubles he had. So St. Paul is my patron saint. Mm-hmm. That was my confirmation name that I chose. And I have a very affinity to him. When I try to do a lot of this work, I always ask for his prayers and his intercession. And he says, people say, he is mighty in his letters, but he is weak in person, which makes me think that when he dealt with people, he was not an aggro, over-the-top debate bro, constantly interrupting, like going at people in that way. Because even like it's interesting, it's an admission in his letter. This is what people are saying about me.
Yeah, I like it.
They say I'm a man. They say I only want to please people, which is interesting because people like say, Trent just wants to be accepted by the normies. If I want to be accepted by the normies, I wouldn't say sodomy is perverted and transgenderism is a mental disorder. Yeah, I guess in base Catholicism online, that's old hat. But you go out in the regular world, that will still raise people's ears and eyebrows when you say it to regular, secular, non-religious people. But yeah, for Paul, it's interesting to see what he was concerned. People complain that he was a people pleaser. Yeah. And he said, no. In Galatians, he says, no, I got this gospel from God. I'm not trying to please anyone. And he makes an interesting point here for a Catholic apologetic. He says, I went to Peter and I corrected him you think I'm a people pleaser? I went to Peter and I told him he's wrong, which is an implicit admission that Peter is the head honcho. because he's trying to say, you know how many, like, I'm not that worried. I even went to the prince of the apostles, and I corrected him when I said not his teaching, but he was being a hypocrite for sitting at the lunch table with the Jews, but not the Gentiles. I'm like, what are you doing, man? So, and that's where I feel like Paul was like total melancholic. I feel like Peter is like kind of the sanguine. That's why I love Laura and I. It's like a Peter and Paul relationship, because Peter is just like totally impulsive. I'll do it. I will defend you, Lord. I will. And it's like ready to just like jump in.
Yep.
And Paul is just like very methodical. I will go to Arabia for 14 years to make sure I've gotten this right. And so like, that's like Laura and I, we balance each other in that way, but then we can have conflict when we do that. So, so I love to think that like St. Paul and St. Peter had a similar tumultuous, but also affable relationship there. So seeing him in this melancholic sort of way, it just reminds me of like Laura once said to me, we were at the zoo and there was some family, it was a family there. They were giving food to the capuchin monkeys. And Laura's just like watching, and I go over and say, excuse me, you can't feed the monkeys. It'll make them sick. And it's like, you can't, they're on a special diet. You can't do it. But like a lot of people are, and she's like, well, you're a melancholic. You're like, the rules, the truth is what matters. I don't care about your feelings. Don't feed the monkeys. They'll get sick. Whereas other people are like, well, I don't want to rain on their parade. I don't want to make a fuss. So I think St. Paul is like, no, this is the truth.
Right, gotcha.
This is what people need to hear.
Big brands ruined deodorant. They irritate your skin, and most of them feel like a chemistry experiment. Deodorant brands sold us the idea that a louder scent means a healthier body. Here's the problem. Toxic ingredients, skin issues, they're extremely common nowadays. It seems everyone knows someone with a skin condition. Here's the truth. Tallow is what families used for generations before chemical companies took over. It's what your skin actually understands because it's biologically appropriate, an organic compound that's similar to your skin barrier. I truly swapped over my toxic deodorant for Cow Guys, which is a natural deodorant that actually works. Cow Guys is rancher owned and has no harsh chemicals. I promise you, your skin will love it. It's not only natural and safe, but this tallow-based deodorant is way more effective than most all-natural deodorant brands. It's crafted to keep you fresh all day. Search up tallowdeodorant.shop and get beef tallow balm for free. No special code needed. That's 2 months of tallow balm plus a deodorant for $34. Buy from an American farm. We bought several of these tallow deodorants recently for me and my wife and some of our older children, and we all love it. Click the link below to grab a deodorant and a tallow balm for the price of one.
I wanted to ask you about the different movements we've seen even in our lifetime. They come out of nowhere, they seem formidable, unstoppable, and then tend to dissipate. So before you joined Catholic Answers, well before both of us joined Catholic Answers, right? Protestant apologetics was what had to be responded to. Atheism we didn't really think much about, right? And then
in the 2010s, in the 2000s, I think.
No, I'm thinking before the New Atheist movement. I'm talking about
like the 90s.
Yeah, like when Carl Keating started Catholic Answers. His primary objective wasn't
when they were selling cassette tapes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so you've got people who are like, all right, Protestantism, that's what we got to refute, and then all of a sudden the New Atheism comes along, and then all of us start pouring our energy into atheism. We kind of forget maybe a little bit about Protestant apologetics, and we're certainly not thinking that there'll come a day where we have to respond to the Orthodox, and then atheism kind of dissipates, and now there's a lot of people going into apostolic Christianities like Orthodox who are responding to that again. Here's the question I want to ask you.
Yes.
What's coming up, if you had to guess? I mean, obviously, we need people being able to respond to Islam, LDS, atheist, all of it. I understand that. But what do you think the next big thing is that's coming up that we Catholics are going to have to be on guard against?
Oh, I was not really great at prognosticating even what came about in the last 15 years. So I'm hesitant to want to make predictions going in the future. I think some things, like I think, like, for example, Eastern Orthodoxy, when you look at Pew polls and see where the just numbers of people that are involved, that's a very, very fraction of a percentage of people who are involved. It's overrepresented online, whereas I think the errors that most people are falling into today will be non-religion. some kind of a low church Protestantism, followed by more of like a high church Protestantism. I think numbers wise, now I don't think it's a snarky new atheism, but it is just kind of a more detached secularism. I think
like an apatheism, as it were.
Yeah, apatheism, maybe something like that. But it's one that I think will overlap. It overlaps a lot with Christian values. So there's common ground there. Like when they see transgender support for transgender ideology is at an all-time low, for example.
That's an example of something that seemed like an unstoppable force. And then what, as a woman came out?
And I think the goal there is the hot thing that seems to be taking off. You need to show its absurdity. You got to show the bad. Our job is to preach the gospel. Euangelion, good news. Good news is best received in light of bad news.
Yeah.
So when we could show, you transgender ideology, well, if you want to be a woman, whatever, that's your thing. They're going to tell you if you don't say she's a woman, you're fired. And this individual can go in a changing room with your 8-year-old daughter. It's like, okay, even just regular people, I've had my fill now.
Right.
So I do think that I think really going forward, we have to look at just what an increasingly online culture will do to deform the human person. So I would say just sending people to the far left and far right, which can be split religiously. I think those are two things we have to really, where they're either going to try to find their identity in social justice or some kind of neo-fascism, kinism, even racism type ideologies. I think we have to look to see what are the competitors for a holistic worldview where people feel like they're fulfilled.
So not just enemies outside, I shouldn't refer to them as enemies perhaps, but not just sort of movements and heretical movements outside the church. But that's another question I'd love to ask you. What is happening within the church that you think we might have to now be on guard against? Because you could think over the last 60 years, like modernism was something that was kind of creeping into the church.
Well, it's still there.
Of course it is, relativism.
Yeah.
Do you think there are things that you're seeing kind of rear their head within the church itself? Because you could think of like an ultra-traditionalism that would, we had certain people who denied Pope Francis was the Pope.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's even become a marginalized movement that's itself is fractured and dissolved, basically. I don't know. It's always hard to tell. I try to think, okay, what am I seeing in the church when I go to Mass, when I go to a lot of different places? Obviously, it's the same in many other denominations. I get worried about an imbalance where I see a lot of older people and hardly any younger people. Or I see, the key here is, where am I seeing 18 to 30-year-olds? I mean, kids are at church because their parents drag them there. They got to go, right?
Yeah.
And then you see older people. Where are the people who are starting off into adulthood?
Dude, come to the Diocese of Nashville. I was just at 7 a.m. Mass yesterday at the cathedral, and it's just filled with young people that I saw. It was terrific.
Well, and I think that will be
And by young people, I mean mid-20s.
Are they united in any other way, like a college group or something that bonds them together, or they're just happen to be all geographically they're united?
Yeah, I'm just visiting, so I'm not sure.
Sure. And that's what that would be my curiosity. If you see masses where there's an overrepresentation of young people, praise be to God.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that's the case. I want to ask, what is the cause of that? If it's just geographical, then like that's just not the same in other places. And it makes it kind of hard. You can't fix geography. But if it's like, oh, well, we all do this, or we all do that, or we're all focus missionaries, or we have this kind of thing in common, or we all happen to work at this company, or da-da-da-da. It's like, oh, okay, then we need to create a kind of community offline to replicate that. Especially for young men. I went to a parish I gave a talk at. I was really happy to see what they do for a young men's group, like for men like age 18 to 30. Because that's one where I think we've really failed young men, is create proper social groups for them. Because it's like the Catholic parish, what is the Catholic parish men's group? It's guys in their 50s and 60s meeting at Saturday at 6:30 in the morning. Or guys in their 50s, 60s, or 70s smoking cigars at someone's house. But especially the 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Why? Of course, we all know why that is. It's because these guys are fathers. And that's the least, and you can't have them out during weeknight because kids have sports, dinner, can't have, dad out during the week. Like, it's already a zoo around here. Okay, go at 6:30 a.m. You're back by 8 o'clock and we can have the whole day with dad. Mm-hmm. That is a great way for dads to get together where there's the time for them. That's not great for a 19-year-old Catholic guy to find community. But I went to this parish and they have, we meet Thursday nights at 7. And to quote Ben Stiller's dad in Zoolander, "That's what I'm talking about." More of my millennial references, 2001 Zoolander. To say, no, that's it, to have something like that. Like my ideal, if I had, and maybe I'll get the free time at some point, I'd have to just get through the little kid phase. Once that's kind of, and I think that's where it's like, okay, you have your time back now as an older guy. Don't waste it just like, going off like fritting or whatever. When you were, as a Catholic, like when you're blessed with a family, you invest your time in them. When you get your time back, it's not your own. Now who can you invest it in? So I would love to just have like, and maybe I could do it now. Like who knows, or rotate off of people. Do like a young men's group or like ages like 18 to 30. We hang out and each week we just practice a masculine skill. So one week it's learning how to change your oil. Another week it's we're going to go shooting, just practice loading and shooting a handgun and just getting a feel for that. Go fishing. I would happily lead a jiu-jitsu round. I have enough as a blue belt to sort of know what I'm doing. Not really though. I'd bring in the black belts for help on that. Oh, actually, no, the guy who runs our Parish Guardians program. He's a well-skilled jiu-jitsu guy. He used to work for SWAT, and he demolishes me on the mat. Like I'd have him come in and be like, and teach the young men to do something like that. But just where you feel like, oh, I have community, and I have somewhere where my masculinity is praised and not tisk-tisked, and where you can just kind of be yourself and learn something.
Do you think that Catholic YouTube culture today is better or worse than it was 5 years ago?
What was it 5 years ago?
I don't know. I just chose a random number.
5 years?
Well, it's also during the pontificate of Francis too. I just think, do you think it's more encouraging and helpful and good
what I'm
beautiful?
Blessed by seeing is so many people. Because let's go back. I mean, 5 years ago was COVID. That's when I started doing YouTube, was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
During COVID, I uploaded a response to Mike Winger. And that was just like my most low tech. I played him doing a video on Catholicism. I had my crummy Logitech webcam and I stopped. I would pause. Here's blah, blah. Here's my response to him. Keep going. And that's where I just kind of...
So seeing a proliferation of these people.
So much.
And I'm so grateful to people like Kyle Whittington with the Creators Conference. And I know you're doing something coming up soon just to get these creators. I don't know if I like any of these words.
I think it's better than influencer. I like digital artist.
Yeah, or digital evangelist. Just bringing them together.
Yes.
I think that's so important to do, because when I used to live in Steubenville, the one thing you would never see is a Steubenville person online attacking another Catholic Steubenville person online. And the reason is we'd have to see them at Mass. We had to interact with them. And so if you had a problem, you'd be better advised to figure it out between the two of you. So having these conferences like Kyle's putting on and you're putting on brings people all into a room together where, okay, we're not going to go after each other online, or we're less likely to.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm really excited. So April 11th, we're having our conference. As of this taping, we sold over 400 tickets. I think we only have about 35% of the tickets left, honestly. So get yours if it's still out there.
Yeah.
But we will have...
What's the website, do you know?
Conferenceoftrent.com.
Lovely.
Conferenceoftrent.com. We only have limited number of tickets available. We'll have speakers, myself, Joe Heschmeyer, Brian Holtzworth, Evan Ragast, who's a Gen Z speaker.
What a guy.
So we have Gen Z represented. Lila Rose will be there. Hey. But we'll also have over 30 other creators on different platforms, YouTube, X, Instagram, lots of people who are out there. So yeah, like the difference, let's say go back 7 years, like in 2018, it was, if you wanted to be a creator that got out there, you just made an audio podcast because you didn't have as easy video technology. Like you could just turn on a microphone, upload and that's how Council of Trent started. Was just, I'll just do video. If you were doing video, you had to have like a big production. That's why we had like Church Militant, when it used to exist, but you had it was like big, if you wanted to or Ascension, if you wanted to be on YouTube, you either had to be like kind of a bigger production or you got in early and you just stayed with the long grind, as others did, but not as many people had access or the funds to get out there. But now what I'm seeing so many Catholic channels and I'm excited by that, but I'm also concerned is my desire for them is to not want to be focused on being successful. Yeah. It's to be faithful. And I hope in being faithful, they will be successful. Like I would love for them. I would love one day to be out of a job. I would love to just do something else. The limelight is not something I really need to or want to seek. I just want to help people. And so when I see there's other people, like, it would be so cool to be like, oh, there's the next generation. They'll carry the baton. I want to encourage them. And here's the missteps I made. Don't do that. And just encourage them in that. But what I worry is a lot of them think like, oh, to be a successful channel, I got to do a 3-hour interview and be really charismatic, or I have to do a 15-minute, really thick apologetic video essay. I'm like, no, be what God gifted, the gifts God gave you.
Yeah.
And expand the mold. Who knows? There's so many horizons.
This reminds me of a quote that John Eldredge shares in Wild at Heart. He says, "Don't ask, what does the world need? Ask, instead, what makes me come fully alive, and go do that." There's something similar. Like, what do you want to do? Because what you want to do will give you life, and you won't be dependent on successful views to feel successful, because you'll just be enjoying doing it.
And here's the difference. Also, if you do what makes you feel alive, people will sense that and be attracted to it. If you're just doing it because you think this is what the algorithm wants and will be most successful, people will be able to tell, oh, you're just trying to get out there.
And we see that.
I'm seeing things that are proliferating, but I also feel bad when I see someone who pours their heart and soul into like a YouTube video and they get 9 views. Mm-hmm. And I see they've poured so much into this, trying to maybe emulate another creator they admire.
Yep.
And they might keep at it like, well, that might not be the format for you. Maybe it is. So I love, for example, Gen Z, like, I don't understand TikTok and short form social media. Not my area, but it's people who cut up my work and do that.
Yep.
But I love seeing new creators saying, oh, I'm not going to do a YouTube channel, I'll make a TikTok channel, whatever, great. Or there could be a lot of other areas to be involved in. But I would encourage people to discern and pray, how has God blessed you? What gifts has he given you? And one way you can recognize it is what do people genuinely praise you for? Not you're fishing for compliments. They genuinely like go out of their way to say, you're doing really great at X. And if it makes you happy, well, double down on that and share it. I'd also say bloom where you're planted. A lot of people think like, oh, I need to get out there and be viral on the internet. Maybe you could just be that really good speaker or artist within your community that created a great mural, a great song, giving a great talk series for the CCD kids. That's how I got started. Before Catholic Answers, I was in the Diocese of Phoenix, and I was local. I think there's a loss to that. Like, I'll give you an example of something I worry about. Like, I love doing Seek. I love doing these big Catholic, like a conference. What's hard is like, yeah, you can watch a video of a talk, but there's something different when you're there with a bunch, you know how it is. You're there with a bunch of people, and a speaker really connects with you. And you have that, it's like a concert. Right? It's like when you like go into a concert, it's so much different than like watching a music video at home, because it wasn't just you connected with the act with everybody there. Yeah. That's why I freaking hate cell phones. I go to see the I'm Bad Michael Jackson tribute and someone's filming the whole thing in front of me.
Like right in front of you?
Right in front of me.
And did you have the moral dilemma where you're like, am I being a coward by not saying something? Or did you say something?
Oh, no, I tried to just step around. So like.
Are you standing up or are you sitting?
It's standing room only.
So why didn't you say, I'm so sorry, I can't see when you have your cat?
What am I going to do? There's 20 other people doing that. Am I going to tell all of them to stop it? And then, what I should have told them is to just beat it, because I'm bad.
That's very good.
I would have told them that. But
oh yeah, how annoying is that?
Yeah. So just seeing like, no, what's that connection we have? So back to the speakers, like you go to Seek, you go to Focus and all that. Where are the speakers, the Gen Z under 30 speakers?
Well, they're not there. Really. And the reason they're not there is it's a different platform. We don't live in real life anymore. We live on the internet.
But that's the thing. Like, but you and I, like, if like back in like the 2010s, for your name to get out there, you had to earn your chops first.
I went and spoke at 8 million high schools.
Million high schools, million parishes.
Spoke on pornography, made everyone uncomfortable.
Yeah. So you had to go and build your chops. Your platform could only grow by appearances in the real world. And then buzz, like, oh, he spoke at our school. It was great.
Yep.
We got to get him. Same thing happened to Jason Everett, happened to Jackie Angel, all the people we know.
Yep.
That's how they got out there and created that buzz. And in the process, they honed their craft to be very gifted speakers to reach people at conferences. And we're still blessed by that. But now the problem is to get out there. If you're young Gen Z, you can just TikTok, turn on your webcam. Yep. You don't have to speak to more. You can just speak to your camera. You don't have to go to a group of people and learn that art. But I really feel like young people will be so blessed if they were at a public format and saw a young person like them who commands the crowd, shares
really
their
interesting.
faith.
Why do you think that is? I mean, I didn't look at the speaker lineup at Seek this year, but did you notice that there wasn't many Gen Z?
I see more. I think I see more older.
I do too.
Yeah,
I wonder why, because a lot of these Gen Z guys are getting out
I'm not
there.
saying there's none, but I do think it's not as prevalent. Where it's weird when you look at the speaker lineups for conferences, it's the same as what you and I went to 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, they're tried and true.
Right, but then like, what about
They're
the
not
other
a
people?
loose cannon.
But what about the other people who should have gotten experience in the interim 20 years? You know, that it shouldn't be that. Obviously, they'll still be around, but there should be the new guard.
Well, I mean, that's what you're doing with this conference. You're reaching out to some Gen Z people because
Absolutely.
they've proven their chops by putting up several videos, and they're not insane. And
Absolutely,
you want to give them a platform.
But I definitely want to find people. But what's interesting though is you could be really good at doing videos and like totally freeze up, and you can't give a public talk. You're not. Because it's one thing. It's kind of like with the younger generations. And what's funny is Laura and I have this disconnect. She likes to text. I like to call. Because she's a baby millennial. I'm a geriatric millennial. But there's this idea like, oh, I'm going to text because it's easier.
Way easier.
When actually studies have shown it's less tense, psychologically better for you to have a phone call. You have less anxiety because it's over and it's done with. You're not agonizing over what should I be texting, or you see the bubbles, the endless bubbles. What are they going to say? No, you're thinking about it. You know, so that's my heart for this younger generation, for the saints among them, just to really rise up. I love that in Paul's letter to Timothy, he says, "Let no one have contempt for your youth, but be a model of purity." And I would love to see that, but I think especially, I'd love to see them as speakers going to a high school for a Gen Alpha high schooler.
Yeah, that's a good point.
To see someone in their 20s, not someone in their 40s.
Please.
How many?
I stopped giving talks.
Well,
I was doing great giving talks to young people about pornography. I think I did a very good job and that I was very good at it.
Yeah.
I think I gave 1 or 2 talks at some point. I'm like, oh, I don't know anymore. Like I can tell they're a different creature to me
I
at
think
this
Jason
point.
Everett, I hope he still does Saved by the Bell references. I really hope he does. I'm like, God bless him.
He's incredible, man.
But like, he is the machine.
He is.
But it's like, I don't have it in me to keep, like, I just can't connect to a 15-year-old. But what about the 25-year-olds today who can, who are just there?
You would think that high schools are looking for Gen Z guys to come in and speak, and I wonder why they're not reaching out to people online to do that.
But then it's like, well, you've got a diocese that has a million protocols and has to be vetted. But also, I mean, it is also hard. We have to also vet to make sure that people are safe and reliable and orthodox. And so what's hard also is like, we're going to get Crusader 1564. Whereas like before we'd had people vetting us, like dioceses, church offices, whole ministries. I mean, when I went out and did pro-life speaking, I had the president of Arizona Right to Life could vouch like, yeah, I've been working with him. He knows his stuff. But if you're just an upstart with a YouTube or TikTok, it's a bit dicey for a Catholic school to bring you in. It's like, well, what are you going to do? Where are your bona fides? So once again, that's why I would love for those of us in the older generation to identify those who have talents and gifts God have given them, and to testify to, I've really worked with them. I trust them. I've given them some input and advice. And I'd say, yeah, you should really go with this person. So we got to work together on this.
More playful question. What do you do for fun? And I don't want you to talk about your kids or your wife. All right. So let's say your wife and your kids go somewhere for a weekend and you're home alone in your house, which honestly, as an introvert, just sounds terrific. Although I will be honest, after the second day, I can't wait to see my wife and my kids. But for those 2 days, what are you doing?
Wow.
To rest.
It's so sad. I have those every now and then. Laura's taking the kids to see her parents, and I've stayed behind, but just to get caught up on things. So like, well, I sure could really change those air filters now. Well, here we go. I'm so owed. The dad thing of always like, it's kind of like,
I suppose all that's taken care of.
Yeah.
What do you do? Someone comes. Melanie's husband comes over, Doug, and he fixes it all for you because he's the man. What are you doing to rest?
What am I doing to rest? Probably, if I'm just in the house.
Yeah.
Probably watching old movies.
Love it.
I just and I watch them on DVD because it makes me feel better. Love the menus. I started watching Mystery Men the other day.
I don't know if I've seen it.
Mystery Men is a 1990s comedy about a team of incompetent superheroes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Including Ben Stiller as Mr. Furious. You have the Shoveler, the Spleen. Just things that have an older, and also I love older movies like from the 90s. One thing that's interesting, you'll notice the difference between newer movies and older ones. They have more dramatic lighting, so they're more cinematic. Whereas newer, like watch Devil Wears Prada.
No.
I'm just saying hypothetically, Devil Wears Prada versus the remake with Glenn Close and Anne Hathaway. The lighting is all completely flat because they're 15, 20 years older, however much it is, and they have to use the diffusion lights like what we have in this studio to give us a nice, it looks so good. I look really nice on here.
I see.
But it's not very dramatic. It's not like how films were shot.
So you're saying that the reason they light that way today is for the vanity of the actors?
I think it's part of it, but also things are shot on digital and there is a constant production treadmill. Go, 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 go. We got to get the next thing on the streaming platform. Yep. So it's just easier to set up diffusion lights, quick digital cam shots.
Yeah.
And there is actually a sitcom I am thinking about. Not a sitcom, it's a 2-season interesting show. I don't know anything about it, so I can't vouch for its moralness. But the show is called, it's something like Kevin Can Go F Himself.
Nice. Sounds lovely.
Well, it's filmed half like a sitcom from Kevin's perspective. He's an oafish husband.
Okay.
But when it's the wife's perspective, she's actually like kind of like abused and neglected. So the lighting changes to be cinematic style. So it shifts between cinematic shooting and sitcom multi-stage warm.
Oh, interesting.
And the shift is very dramatic.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So there's some newer stuff I dig, but listening to, I guess, old music, old movies and TVs. Well, dude, actually, you know what I would love to do if I was just at home and nobody was around?
Come on.
Read a book.
Yes.
Well, right now with little kids, I try to read as much as I can. Like right now, I'm on a random one. I'm doing Bonfire of the Vanities, which is really interesting it's a satire of like 1980s corporate greed and racism and New York City. I love like stuff about grimy New York City from the 80s before they cleaned it up in the 90s. But right now for me to get through books, I have to do Audible at 1.75.
Yeah.
Just because like I'm driving, I'm moving, I'm picking up stuff, I'm cleaning, it's life with kids. So I love listening to a lot of books and I'll do that, but I could just sit in the chair.
Yes.
Have the book and just read the book. Delightful.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's what I do. I like to wake up. I love to sauna.
Oh.
And I love to cold plunge. I love that so much. I never realized that the cold plunge, for me at least, I need to do sauna, then cold plunge, then rest.
That is a fun one to do.
Yeah.
I've done those a few times.
I would never just do a cold. Did we do it together?
We have not done anything with plunge related together. We have never done that.
I would never just cold plunge without having been in a sauna first. But the two together and rest, I love doing that. I love having a cigar on the back porch. Love reading. I'm reading Crime and Punishment for like the third time right now. I just absolutely love it. I was thinking about and I'm still thinking about trying to tackle War and Peace. I just don't know if I can do it. Do you know there's over 500 characters in War and Peace?
I tried reading War and Peace, but I listened to it.
Yeah.
And I would need to take, for a lot of Russian novels, I would take notes.
Yeah.
Have you ever read Anna Karenina?
Yeah.
I think that's probably like, honestly, probably the better Tolstoy book, or like it's one of the greatest novels of all time. But I was going before Laura's Diagnosis. I was really running through a ton of classics just on Audible.
Yeah.
And enjoyed that.
This episode is sponsored by Catholic Match. With Valentine's Day being this month, our culture tells us that dating apps are the way to go. But most of them are just about superficial connections and endless swiping, where half the people don't even know what they truly believe or what they're actually looking for. But if you are a Catholic, you understand that marriage is a sacred vocation, not just another relationship. And this season of love reminds us we're called to something deeper. That's why there's Catholic Match, the largest and most trusted Catholic dating app in the world, purposefully designed for faithful men and women who are serious about finding each other for the right reasons. Catholic Match is focused on sacramental marriage, bringing together singles who share the same ultimate goal, a lifelong covenant blessed by the Church. Unlike generic platforms, Catholic Match features an in-depth profile system that goes into the things that really matter, like where you fall politically, your liturgical preferences, how you approach your faith in daily life, and so much more. Plus, Catholic Match offers live virtual events exclusively for premium members, creating opportunities to connect and grow together in faith. This February, let the month of love be about more than chocolates and flowers. Download the Catholic Match app or head over to catholicmatch.com today to find your forever. Again, that's catholicmatch.com.
When it comes to physical things like refresh the body, well, that's hard. Is like jujitsu is that thing for me, but you can't do it by yourself or at home. Unless, I mean, I have had friends invite me to their house and they just
You
have
want to come
mats.
around and fight me?
Dude, it's so fun. If a friend asks, hey, you want to come over to my garage? I got some mats out. I'm like, I'm there. Actually, one of the guys, the black belts in our gym, I kind of got invited to like the more super secret Thursday morning rolls.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but we just get together. Joe Rogan was talking about how weird it kind of is. Like you do jujitsu with a friend and it's like, you do it and then you're like, okay, you killed me. Let's reset and I'll try to kill you. Because if we actually were enemies, you could just kill the person.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you feel good like doing it. It's fun.
Who's someone in the Catholic space that also does jujitsu?
Tons of people.
Name one.
Andrew Swafford.
Okay. Someone more popular in the YouTube sphere. Or
Well,
the
I think
sphere.
Taylor Marshall.
All right. So how much could we raise to get you and Taylor in here to roll?
You don't have any mats.
We could raise a lot of money for charity or for the Dominicans or for the Nashville diocese.
We could see. All I remember was that he used to be at a purple belt.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if he hasn't trained in a while. I just got my blue belt. Blue belt is a beginner belt where you understand the fundamentals. You can usually deal with someone like untrained, 40 pounds bigger than you, as long as they're not a monster.
Yeah.
Purple belt though is like you.
But
really,
blue belt's a big accomplishment. I mean, this isn't like when I was a kid and did a martial art, a made up martial art, maybe, I don't know, called Zendo Kai, and they'll give you a belt every week, and they were 800. You know?
Yeah.
No, to get a blue belt's a big deal.
In the martial arts where we call that McDojo.
Zendo Kai.
Well,
yeah.
it could be a real thing.
I'm sure it is. I don't want
there's the one person watching Zendo Kai. I will avenge my sensei, my dojo.
I'm not saying anything against him.
So no, it's it takes to get a blue belt. It takes about 2 to 3 years. When you're an older guy who gets injuries, I tore my ACL. It set me back a bit, but I kept at it. It was about 3 years to get that.
I tore my MCL by falling in an aardvark hole while hunting for baboons in Namibia.
Really?
Yeah. And it really hurts still, and it's been about 6 months.
With your accent, you sound like that's like a 19th century British explorer problem. I was going after the Namibia in that exchange.
I was trying to shoot baboons in the not the face because I wanted that.
Fortunately, my faithful manservant carried me back to the tent.
Dude, it hurts so much. I've never hurt myself like that before. So I fell in this aardvark hole, twisted it. It killed. But, I could walk. And, I've always been of the opinion that, okay, like if you can walk, it's not broken, you're fine.
Nope.
It's been about 5 months. Well, it still hurts. I mean, I've had some like platelet injections.
Oh, that happened 5 months ago?
It had, 7. Yeah. About 7 months.
Oof.
Still hurts.
No, that's right. Well,
I mean, I've had, just so everybody knows, I've had x-ray, I've had platelet injections. Yeah. I've worn a brace.
Is it a full tear or a partial tear?
It's a partial tear.
Okay, my ACL was a partial tear. And I did physical rehab without surgery. I did platelets.
Yeah. So did that kill? It killed when I got platelets. Did it hurt you?
It felt a little uncomfortable.
I was laying on a doctor's bed, and my body just started sweating profusely. And I'm thinking, I don't know what my body's doing or why I don't mean to question my body. I'm not sure why this is supposed to help to sweat this much. Man, it hurt.
It's weird because it has to go in deep into like the bone area.
And it has to go into an area where there's already a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. But so it took me like a full year, I feel like, to get my ACL back to like
even if I stretch it, I can feel it.
It will, in time, if it's a partial tear, it'll heal. You might have some scar tissue. But that's interesting the way you describe how the injury happened, because in jiu-jitsu, we like to say arms hurt and then they break, but legs break and then they hurt. So like if you do what's called an arm bar, so if you do the joint like that, you will feel the pain and you'll tap unless you're like a dumb teenager who wants to stick it out.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know like, oh, no, don't do that. But there is a move in jiu-jitsu that's dangerous, and I actually don't do it on people, and I tap immediately if I'm stuck in it, called the heel hook.
Okay.
And that is where you get your elbow around their heel, you have their leg, and you turn it, and you can blow out the tendons in the knee. The danger is if you hook the heel, there is a way out of it. If they're turning it, if you turn with the turn, you can roll out of it. But it's 50-50. You turn one way, you escape. If you turn the other way, you'll instantly destroy your knee. So you have a 50-50
my
chance.
goodness.
So that's why when I'm in those situations, I'm too old for this.
Yeah.
I tap because there's a 50-50 chance you'll get it wrong and destroy your knee. So that's why, but mine was different. It was a takedown. A guy swept my leg, his big guy tried to bring me down and I was being too tight about it, but it'll heal over time, you know.
What's your favorite martial arts movie? And why is it American Ninja? No, is it American Ninja? Remember that came out in the 90s? I'm thinking mine is Ip Man. 100% Ip Man. It's excellent.
Can it be Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Was it?
Why not? Raul Julia?
Because it was terrible. Kylie Minogue played, who was she? Who's that blonde-haired chick in Street Fighter?
Cammy?
I don't know.
Right?
That's funny. It's my wife.
Cammy.
Okay.
No, because that's one of Raul Julia's last performances. He's this like classically trained actor. And he did the movie just because his kids liked the video game.
Oh, wow.
And he's got such great lines in it. The day Bison entered your village was the most memorable day. I'm butchering the line. I apologize. I'm doing the best I can. Was the most memorable day of your life. But for me, it was a Tuesday. So he's just chewing the scenery and it's great. And you have Jean-Claude Van Damme as Guile, the American soldier.
Yes.
I'm going to tell that Bison that I'm going to get him. It's like,
I'm going to watch that again. I'm so excited. American Ninja was almost up there with cringe level. Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course.
I'm not saying people should just go and watch these movies.
We have
I don't remember.
Classics though. Probably like, actually a good martial arts one, 36th Chamber of Shaolin. It's a very classic kung fu.
If
you want a classic kung fu movie, 36 Chamber of Shaolin. So a very classic kung fu movie.
It's bananas that they have two of the Dragon in Bruce Lee. Not of the Dragon, but Enter the Dragon and Way of the Dragon.
Right. Yeah.
No, I wonder why they decided to do that. That's kind of confusing.
That is one I would need to get the behind the scenes of the DVD for.
I don't exactly.
Another reason to get DVDs.
I don't remember the Chuck Norris fight, but that was terrific.
Yeah.
In the Coliseum.
I actually, you know what's funny? I'm doing an episode on debates and why they've devolved and we need to make them better. And I say like, we should not turn them into blood sport. And I show the scene from Bloodsport. Van Damme like punches the guy and he's like, oh, it's totally over the top.
Yeah. Remember Karate Kid when you were young? When
I
it came out?
am the Karate Kid.
Okay.
I literally have had people tell me like, has anyone ever told you what I get? So here's what I get. You look like Ray Romano, Miles Teller, Karate Kid.
I don't know any of these people.
You don't know?
I don't know any names of any actors.
Everybody Loves Raymond?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Ray.
Cool.
So, did you see Top Gun Maverick?
No.
He's Top Gun Maverick.
I heard it's good.
It is good. Miles Teller is another one that I get. And I'm okay. Back in the day, I used to get Shia LaBeouf and also the kid from Boy Meets World.
It changes over time.
It does. As we deform, get older and older.
Yeah.
But so Karate Kid. Actually, Cobra Kai, the reboot, not reboot, but continuation of the story is what got us interested in martial arts, why I put my kids in jiu-jitsu, and then why I started. So
I remember people used to be like, you look like that guy from Coldplay. And now they're like, you look like Jack Nicholson.
You Jack Nicholson. No, you look like...
No one's ever said Jack Nicholson. I just mean people of that age bracket that now say.
No, I always said to Laura, I was always jealous because I was like, oh, you look like... people say I look like Shia LaBeouf. There was a movie, Spy. It's not... Oh, okay, let's see.
You know what's fun? Just so you know, before you show it to me, let me tell you a story. I was at the Cathedral Basilica in St. Augustine. Someone comes up to me and they're like, hey, you look like, and he did just what you're doing now. And people 20 years ago said I looked like this particular person, so I was waiting for it. Okay, all right. And then he shows me a photo of a man who was 700 years old. 700. That's crazy.
You look like Methuselah. No, I was gonna say I think you look a bit like Jude Law.
Yeah, that's what they used to say.
Okay,
they don't say that anymore.
They don't say. I still think you're doing all right. I think you're doing all right. You get to be Jude Law. I get to be Shia LaBeouf. I get to be.
I
get to be. Everybody loves Raymond. Well, I mean, now he's doing Padre Pio and has changed up a bit. Yeah. But I get to be Everybody Loves Raymond. You get to be Jude Law. But
Have you seen any good new movies lately?
Oh. When do I get to go see? I usually only go out and see movies to...
What did you think of David?
I did a review.
I hate musicals.
You hate musicals?
I shouldn't, but I do. And I hate it so much. And I was
in several musicals.
I'm sure that's a fault of mine, but they did an excellent job. I mean, my goodness gracious. It was so beautifully done.
I see.
I didn't see your review. But sum it up real quick, and people can go watch the longer version.
I would say good, but not great.
Good. That was an excellent summary.
It's good.
You should do
good.
TikTok reviews. Good, not great.
I love how
Next.
they now for movie trailers, when they show like the quotes of how good the movie is, it's like random Twitter users, not even like New York Times or Wall Street Journal. It's like at movie guy 314 said this is amazing.
Funny.
What? So yeah, I thought that was probably the most recent one I've been to take.
Oh, I went and saw what was the one with Russell Crowe, Nazis. He was put in Nuremberg. See Nuremberg?
Oh no, I did.
That was really good.
I did not see Nuremberg.
Russell Crowe's fantastic.
But it is hard. I wish there were we were in a time more where we were growing up, always really hit films coming out, and I think unfortunately with the collapse with DVDs not being an ancillary market, they have to pick different kinds of films to create, and they can't just rely on mid-budget romantic comedies, dramas for studios to make money. So that's unfortunate when there used to be like movies like Office Space, for example. They have to rely on like international distribution, and American comedy doesn't do well internationally, even though we are the funniest.
Objectively. Yeah, awesome. Well, what else are you working on? You writing any books or?
Well, I just finished a book, Salvation is from the Catholic Church. So that one has just been finished. I am desperately trying to get my mojo back in a groove. I am like, when I write books, I kind of hop between different ones.
Yep.
I've got a few just open Word documents that I'm pouring things into. There's one I did want to do, because like I said, I want to reach people who are furthest away, the most people who are the furthest away.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to do one on Christian miracles, about how the triumph of Christian miracles have unique evidence for them that other claims do not. Like people say, well, why do you believe Jesus rose from the dead? You don't believe in Islam or Thor, Joseph Smith, or these other, or you don't believe in Bigfoot or aliens, or here's a mass psychosis incident. Trying to show the skeptics either the counter examples either have less evidence than Christianity, or they're not incompatible with the Christian worldview. They could be examples of paranormal activity. They could be demonic activity. So that's something. And also then at the end of the book, I was going to have a bit, by the way, some Christian miracles that are really well attested are things like Eucharistic miracles, Marian apparitions, which I think says something interesting about Catholicism. So that's my way to build up the body of Christ. It's something that any Christian, Protestant, Catholic, Orthodox could use to reach out to an atheist, but also there's something neat about Catholicism in there. And I think that's what, I want to share the Catholic faith with as many people as possible. And really, I don't think this is deceptive, what I'm trying to do, but it's like one way I try to do that is just by trying to be a really good Christian apologist.
Yeah.
Like just trying to be like, hey, I want to defend, especially if there's not Catholics not focusing on that.
I think what people say about, I think what other Protestants and religions say about you is probably what Catholics and other Christians say about Alex O'Connor. They're like, well, at least it seems like he's taking us seriously and he's really intelligent. That's what people say that about him. And I think they're right to, from what I've seen. I haven't seen everything. And I think people say that about you. Yeah. They're like, well, he's not a blowhard and he tries to understand us even if he's wrong. And so thank you for doing what you're doing.
Well, that's my goal. And that's why I am just so sick of like some people, you were talking about apologetics earlier, what's going on with this, of this idea like, well, I have to hammer the heretics. I'm not going to pull any punches. I'm going to call them whatever, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but those same people are also not going out and doing debates, or two, they're not being attractive to people who belong to those worldviews. Even if you win the argument, people, they don't want to listen to you. But like, I'd rather have like, I remember when I debated Gavin Ortland at Franciscan University of Steubenville, there was like 2 vans of Protestant kids that came to that debate. And
I hosted it. Do you remember?
Yes.
Good. I like that you forgot that. That's fine. Keep going.
I'm sorry, you've lived in so many places, I can't keep track. Oh, that was back when you lived in Steubenville.
Yeah. Oh, well, now he lives here. We should do it again.
Right, babe. Why not? And so we, my colleague, John Sorensen, our director of operations at Catholic Answers, was at the debate, and he saw this group of Protestants, and he was talking with them, and he was like, hey, and they told him, oh, we're from this First Baptist church, and we're really so excited to be here. And he's like, oh, you probably came here to go see Gavin. They're like, no, we came to see Trent Horn. We're like his biggest fans. Because like we love his pro-life book, we love his atheism book. Like we're super excited to see him. And so there are people who have made their way into the Catholic faith that were introduced to me through the things that I have done just to try to build up Christianity and a moral worldview in general. And just for them to say like, oh yeah, I see that, and I really appreciate how you come at these issues. And then they see the Catholic stuff I've written, and they already like, I already really like his stuff on atheism or pro-life. I wonder what he wrote about Catholicism.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, well, check it out.
I recommend, just so you know, I recommend your book. You haven't paid me anything for this, which is very unfortunate, and you should begin to do that. I recommend your book, Why We're Catholic, all the time. It is. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, it's it's the number one book I point people to who are discerning Catholicism. It's excellent.
Well, I try to make it accessible.
Yeah, and I would just right now, here's another shout out. Like if you're like considering the Catholic faith, or you know someone who is and is open to reading a book, this is the book to get them. Why We're Catholic. It's easy to read. It's sophisticated. It's not adversarial.
Yeah.
It treats people with seriousness and gentleness. It's excellent.
That's the goal. And that's what's interesting. Like I debated Gavin, and I've actually enjoyed my interactions with Gavin more. It's funny when I've
Me too. I got the feeling Joe hasn't, but I love Gavin.
Well, what's funny is I'm really excited. Well, it comes to apologetics, by the way, about things being different. Like we had this huge cross to carry with the tumor. I remember, I think this is really divine providence. About 3 weeks into Laura's healing, I hadn't been sleeping, was exhausted. Her parents came into town to help us. The kids came back. I had spent 2 weeks caring for Laura post-surgery, and it's scary and exhausting. I just got sick. I was throwing up. I crawled into bed. My father-in-law was telling the boys, you gotta be quiet. Your dad needs this. Like every dad knows, like dad needs his sleep. And he, and I was just laying there. I was like, I want to be kind. I want to be kind. If people are like, oh, he's such a softie. I don't care. You think that way, you can come to jiu-jitsu class and we can kindly have some words there and play around a bit. Even there in jiu-jitsu, I don't go super hard on people. I don't want to be a jerk to people. I actually miss out on a lot of submissions because I don't want to be mean. And that's what I love about jiu-jitsu is I don't have to sock somebody in the face. I can just kindly fold you up. So I was laying there in bed and I was like, I want to be kind. And I thought, you know what would be really cool? I got to get back to episodes soon. I'm just going to send the script to the guy.
I love it. Yep.
I'm going to send the script to Gavin. Just be like, Gavin, have I understood everything you said? And he was like, well, yeah, it's all fine. Although I would say this and that, and you might want to consider this argument. I'm like, okay, great.
So is that when you started sending your scripts to people to review?
That's when I started.
Yeah. Has that been beneficial?
Oh, night and day. I love it. It has made doing rebuttals and videos dealing with people, it's advanced the channel by light years.
Well, who's that agnostic fellow who's brilliant?
Joe Schmid.
Yeah, you sent your script on the moral argument to him, you said, and he's a bright guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hope to have him on the channel soon so we can because he's funny. I'm kind of like his favorite theist to pick on. Not to pick on, but I think he actually appreciates that I'm willing. I think Joe appreciates I'm willing. There are some Christian apologists who do atheism that just trade in stock arguments and slogans.
Okay.
And I try really hard to understand the depth of the arguments and go deeper analytically. And so I think he appreciates that. And that's why he's willing to more make responses to me when I go out about stuff. So I figure here, I'll just send this to you beforehand. Then I can deal with your response before it's public and I can strengthen up. And we actually found common ground. He said, I actually agree with you on this point related to sexual ethics. But yeah, it just creates and then when I talk to Gavin or other people, it's oh, here, then there's none you misrepresented me.
Well, and then what's nice too is if they do a response video, they're forced to say, now in fairness, Trent did send this to me, and that's just a really stand-up thing to do. Well, they can't say
that I misrepresented, misunderstood. It clears the air more, so it's just easier for people to see that, and also for an audience to see what I'm putting forward as an argument, to see look, I trust my argument enough. I don't have to bamboozle my critic. I can send it to him first. And for them to see, oh, wow, they take your case way more seriously.
I have an excellent book idea for you. It'll do very well, and it will be very easy, and you should listen to me.
Okay.
You should do a collection of Trent Horn's essays, because that will enable you to be extra attentive to these video scripts you're writing, and you'll get a 2-for-1, because you've written so many excellent scripts for these videos.
I might
and people, I love this. I love reading.
Oh,
is it Bishop Eric Varden? Is that his name? He came out with a book with Word on Fire recently. I love a good essay because I got kids, I've got a busy life, everyone's busy. To be able to sit down for 20, 30 minutes and read an essay is wonderful. Why don't you do that?
I'm open. I'm open to it. I think sometimes that's where my editor would come in here. You might like it, but we also as a press, we have to release things that'll sell. anthology essays a lot of times.
Yeah, fair enough.
They don't sell
But
as
keep
well.
them somewhere. So one day.
Oh, well, I have all the documents.
Yeah.
And I think, but the other problem is, and what I might do is if I wind down in the future from doing video essays, then I might lean more into the written word and compile that way. But the problem is when I write the video essay, it's not in its best form for like a book.
No, totally. But you could get an editor to change that.
Yeah, the structure, because it's made for you to watch
Yep.
it and receive it casually.
Yep.
But no, I definitely, so I'm working, a lot of times though, if I'm writing a book, I could do an episode about a chapter and then streamline it together in that way. So yeah, no, I'm definitely excited about that. But I would love also, especially if other Christian apologists follow this mold. I haven't seen any yet.
What mold?
The mold of if you're going to do a rebuttal to somebody, run it by them first. Just run it by them and talk to them first and get their input and then put out your rebuttal. I think Brian Holdsworth had a critique of a woman who had a TikTok take on liturgy he disagreed with.
Yeah, and he was so charitable in doing that.
And but he reached out to her first to talk with her.
Yeah, he's the man.
And then but that's a great example of it right there.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see more people, especially if you're in the public argument sphere and putting these kinds of things out there. Or also, it's not just a rebuttal, but like if I write about a subject, I might say, if I'm writing about a certain religion, I'll contact an apologist for that religion and say, did I miss... Because there's so many things. Think about all the refutations of Catholicism out there that the people they just don't even understand how the Catholic Church operates or the levels of authority in teaching. If they just sent it to Jimmy Akin, he could say, "Oh, we actually don't teach." It's not even I disagree with your argument. It's we don't teach X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing is for Mormonism, Islam, other forms of atheism. Protestantism is a huge one. Just be like, "Oh, we actually don't believe that," or so it can help you when you critique something, because a lot of times you don't understand a religion until you've lived inside of it. But you can at least get that perspective and incorporate it into your critique. So,
all right. Let's see. Final question.
Dun dun.
Many Protestants here at Daily Wire are Catholic curious, including people you've met today, who are wonderful people. And there are many people who are watching who are open to Catholicism. Maybe they're terrified about conversion. Maybe it just seems unnecessary. I know that's a big spectrum of people, so it might be an unfair question, but what advice would you have for them?
I think my advice to them would be to pray, ask God just to lead you into truth and to not allow fear to dictate how you follow him. So it's one thing to be leery of Catholicism because you're afraid of being wrong. Okay, well then you have to just pray and look at the evidences and weigh the arguments. It is another thing if you're afraid of what might happen if you become Catholic. That's not a valid fear that should be driving your discernment. I would ask them, what would you say to a Muslim who's scared of becoming Christian in a culture where he could be killed for it? Or someone who's afraid of becoming a Jew, who's afraid of becoming Christian just because his family's going to cut him off. He's not going to, he's going to be called a traitor, and frankly, coming into the church, people will still say that to this person. It may not seem worth it to them.
Yeah, Andrew Clavin would be an example of that.
Well, yeah, and others who will get that label sometimes. To say to them, well, what would you say to those non-Christians who are afraid of the cost of Christianity? I'm sure you say something like, but to be fully united to Christ is just worth it. Christ himself says, "There'll not be those who give up wives or children or lands who will not receive tenfold in the kingdom to come." And I would say the same for being fully received into the church that Christ gave us, the church that guides us to the right beliefs, the right moral actions, gives us Christ fully in the Eucharist to offer to God the perfect sacrifice on the altar for the forgiveness of sins, to be united fully into the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church of our Lord. I would just say to them, pray. Know that if you try to grow closer to God, the devil will attack you. Go to the liturgy and just, hey, don't worry about it. You're not taking everything in. Just go there and just be open to God and find a Catholic who's sensible, just who can be a sounding board for you to kind of walk alongside you. So conversely, then I would say, in order for those people who are Catholic curious, we who are Catholic have to model an approach where we can be an open door for those people who have questions, We're not going to shut the door because we're scared to talk, and we're not going to berate the person and demand when he's signing up for OCIA yet. Where we don't fight them toe to toe, we walk with them shoulder to shoulder, and then we're there alongside them. So yeah, I would encourage them. And like I said, I would definitely pick up my book, Why We're Catholic. I think you can get it on Kindle for like $5, but I think it could help clear up a lot if you have a lot of questions for sure.
I love you, not in a gay way. I love your wife.
No homo.
And
no homo, no mo.
I'm glad that you exist. Thank you for all the good that you've done for people. I'm sure you get this a lot. I mean, it's nice. People sometimes will say that to me. They're like, I'm sure you get this all the time, but thank you. I'm like, no, I get the opposite as well. So this is nice. But thank you for what you do, and thank you for all the work that you've put into helping.
Well, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for what you've done with this show, just to bless people. And man, it has just been fun. Really, like it's been over 10 years we've been doing this side by side. I'm excited.
It's been wild. We wouldn't have guessed this. We were doing this way before it was cool, and way before you could make any money at all doing it.
But I'm excited what the future will hold, and I don't know. Hopefully it'll be cool. There'll be a time, maybe you and I will ride off into the sunset at the same time. No, not gay. Not gay. With our wives on the other horses.
That's right. That's
our wives on the other horses, Indiana Jones style.
But you and I are secretly holding hands, and they can't see.
It's not. This is not. Now the Brokeback Mountain music is playing. And then we get to watch the others take the place. So I think that'd be cool. I'm excited for that.
Thanks, Trent.
Okay, lovely people of the internet, good news. From now on, all of these episodes are going to be available 1 week early on Daily Wire Plus and the Daily Wire app. Otherwise, they'll be here on Mondays at 11 a.m. Thank you very much. I cannot believe you made it all the way to the end of this interview. The fact that you did shows me that you might enjoy a lot of the stuff that we do here at Pints with Aquinas. So please click subscribe, click the bell button. We really appreciate it.
Great darkness is falling upon this land. These brothers are our only hope to stand against it.
Not our only hope.
We need you, Merlin.
Merlin was a myth before our father was even born.
Merlin slew 70 men with his own hands.
No man is capable of such a thing.
The mortal man.
The Pendragon Cycle. Rise of the Merlin. Now streaming. Only on Daily Wire Plus.